I love when I don't remember what I say on stream because that's something that happens often. I also love that. Oh, no, it's working. It's working. Nice, it's working. It just has a slight delay. That's fair. That's fair. Happens to the best of us. But we'll come in. Good evening. And we'll come back to. We're just gonna gloss. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Hello, game. Gloss over the fact that I didn't stream this entire week. Haha, and suddenly it's Sunday, but I guess it was needed. The break was needed, and I wasn't home the entire weekend. But I feel good now. I feel better now, and I think that means we can get back to Ace Attorney, because that's a comfy good time. I love figuring out who murdered people. That's a comfy time. I also love getting my headphone cable stuck. Yeah, that is something. Oh, quote number 1, hell yeah. Number 1, baby. The good old strap-on. We love the strap-on in this house. Yes, yes. But yeah, we'll come back to. I'm not actually tapped into the game. There we go. We'll come back. Ace Attorney Investigations. I sure know it's not called that. I do know that. We stopped last time. We are back to the past. We're back to 18 years in the past as Miles' father. Just fun and interesting. And hopefully not going to die on me, because the first time I tried starting the game earlier, it just wouldn't open at all. And then the second time it would show up in OBS, because OBS was like, no, fuck you. So I had to restart OBS as well. So I'm hoping everything else is gonna work now, because I haven't actually updated OBS in forever. So I don't even know what version I'm on right now. No, I do know. I'm on 30.1.2, and I have no idea what the current version is. But if that one has problems as well, I'm glad I'm not on it. Also, Merry Christmas. You know what? It has to be a special kind of bad to just be stuck in the hospital. No, in an detention center on Christmas morning. Hey, it's Miss Bound. Oh, Mr. Fender. Mr. Edgeworth, I do not remember any of your guys' voices. I'm so sorry about what happened yesterday. He looks rather tired. It's Mr. Von Karma finished interrogating you. Yes, though he really only seemed interested in how I melted those sculptures. And I would like to be able to see my entire screen, thank you. Are you here to see Mr. Tangaroa too? Yes, I'm terribly worried about him. Oh! Detective Bad, what are you doing back there? Oh, just happened to be here. I'll be heading back to the scene soon. Not sure how anyone just happens to be at a detention center, but okay. I mean, to be fair. He is a detective. Woo! Good morning. What happened to your hair? What's wrong with my mouse? Mr. Tangaroa, what happened to you? Oh no, Samson, what did I do to you? They didn't seem to want to let me sleep. So your hair lost all of its color? I had no idea interrogations could be so involved. Sorry if I seem distracted. I think I'm a little tired. Keep with short hair. They're not letting you sleep. That's not police work, that's torture. What's going on here, Detective Bad? I'm not the one doing the interviewing. It's a guy they put on the case before me. I like Von Karma's methods about as much as you do, so I'm doing what I can to help. It was Detective Bad who got me out of there. I'd still be in an interrogation room right now if it weren't for him. Oh my god. If the one thing I can do at any given point in time, it's yawning. Detective Bad really is trying to look out for Mr. Tangaroa in his own way, it seems. Alright, Eddie, let's share yesterday's findings with Mr. Tangaroa. Got it, Mr. E. My notepad is at the ready. Hell yeah. Mr. Tangaroa, we found out quite a bit if you'd like to hear it. Of course. Thank you. Are you alright, Mr. Tangaroa? You seem kinda spaced out. I'm fine, I think my blood sugar might be running a little low. Samson, do we have anything that might give him a little energy boost? We do. Yeah, we do. Hold on. Chocolates. Rather misshapen, but incredibly sweet. Is that chocolate? For me? Good thing there's no yawn. The yawn shop. The yawn shop. Oh man, I miss Yakuza. I want to play Infinite Well. But I don't want to start it because the year's almost over and I won't be able to finish it. But I want to play it! Just a chocolate type. I wish I could just give them to you, Mr. Tangaroa. But the rules here don't exactly allow me to do so. Oh, that's a shame. But rules are rules, I suppose. There must be some way we can hand them to him. I did, yeah. Oh, Detective Bad is noting the meaningful looks in his direction. Let me take a look at them. If they seem legit, I might consider passing them on to the suspect. Thank you, Detective Bad. My hero! Touched. Thank you, Detective. Yeah, whatever. Just sit tight. Ooh. Here. You don't know how much this means to me. Yeah. Keep it down, will you? Well, that says. Of course, Detective. I wouldn't wish to put your livelihood at risk. Now to sample these traits. Detective, I apologize for putting you in a tight spot. I didn't do it for you. That was my call. Guess you're not such a bad guy after all. Ha ha ha. Sweetness. I feel like a man reborn. What did your handiwork, Judy? Yes, how are they? Oh! He's getting music. Yeah, he's better. Oh. The fact that it actually does work with the melody is so crazy. I'd like to get some more rest. Aw. Did you also not get enough sleep? What's everyone doing? I feel like I didn't get enough sleep this entire weekend either, even though I went to bed at normal times. I didn't, like, genuinely, I didn't do anything this weekend. Like, legitimately, I went over to a friend's house on Friday, like, straight after work. I didn't even go home before. I just went to a friend's house and we didn't do anything the entire weekend. We were like, do you want to go out? And I'm like, no, I just want to recharge. I just want to lay in bed. I just want to, you know, not have to do anything. And that's what I did the entire weekend. And I felt really good, but I'm still tired from the whole just lying around thing and not doing anything. So it would have been very cool. Yeah, I was kind of expecting it even, but that's not how hair works. They're not exactly beautiful, but they're sweet and oh so flavorful. Thank you, Judy. The weeks are so exhausting. That's understandable. I'm so glad you like them. And I'm glad you're back to your old self. My apologies, friends. The food they serve here is just so flavorless. Between that and a lack of sleep, I was about ready to collapse from sheer despair. Oh, is the food here really all that bad? Just the usual. French fries, ham sandwich, stuff like that. Yes, and yet I couldn't taste a thing. Anyway, I'm heading back to the scene. Before you go, Detective, do you have any new information to share? Oh yeah, you were right about the victim's identity. Frost worked as a sculptor in France, where he was known as Paul Halik. Barney Frost was Paul Halik. I never would have imagined. Oh, Mr. Halik. So the famous French sculptor wasn't a Frenchman after all, huh? Stop eating paper! Please. This all would certainly explain why Mr. Halik was such a recluse and refused to show his face in public. He was busy working on his greatest masterpiece, apparently. A bunch of zodiac statues. Guess he'll never finish them now. He never finished his greatest masterpiece? Nah. Seems he was making statues for each season. But he never got around to the winter constellations.
No, you? Sure? Good thing I'm back, huh? So you have someone to meow with again. No.
Hagadish when he got old. I just can't imagine him eating all of that paper was good for him. Or his stomach. Winter constellations? You mean Taurus and Gemini? So the two you made out of ice would have completed the set. Yeah, now they're nothing but puddles. What a bummer. I'm so sorry. Oh no, Miss Bound, I wasn't blaming you. One last thing. Seems he had himself a bit of a spending habit when it came to his work. Every statue cost him millions to make. Which means he was always strapped for cash. Checking to see if there's any chance someone called in a debt. He has not even famous artists are safe from money problems. Do you have any idea why he entered the confectionery contest? None. Guy didn't even tell his family. Let's see. Alright, I really gotta get going. I'll go fetch another guard, but I can't be hanging around here any longer. Understood, Detective. We'll see you again shortly. He's a good man. He certainly is. And an uncompromising one. Somebody who can be trusted to stand up for what he believes in. And to scare the pants off of anybody he knew he needs. Now, you were going to tell me about what you learned yesterday. Of course. Allow me to give you a full report.
Oh, Freund. Du nervst mich. Leg dich halt hin.
One second.
Come here. Ja.
Yeah, it was aggressively. Oh yeah. I don't even know how much of that actually gets picked up by the microphone, but... Thank you for that. Allow me to apologize on Judy's behalf. I'm so sorry. It's fine, Mr. Tangaroa. As I told her yesterday, the important thing is that we learn the truth in the end. Now, would you mind if I ask you a question or two? By all means, I'll gladly share all that I can. What can you tell me about the contestants who took part in the final round of the contest? Let's see. There was Miss Scone. I loved her design concept. Unfortunately, her entry was a violation of the rules, and so I had to disqualify her. Miss Augusta's creations were a perfect balance of flavor and design, at least up to the semi-final. But disappointingly, his entry for the final was subpar in both counts. And there was actually something a little unusual about his entry for the semi-finals as well. Which was? It tasted identical to Mr. Frost's. They may have looked different, but I could have sworn I was eating the same thing. Huh? What exactly did his work look like? Oh, there should be a photograph back at my mansion. I'll show it to you later, Mr. Ashworth. Much appreciated, Miss Mount. Mr. Frost's entry for the finals, that was truly sublime. So you were able to finish judging it? Even though his body had been discovered in the meantime? Yes, I wasn't aware of what had happened until after I completed my assessment. Mr. Frost wasn't in his room when I visited, so I took the liberty of sampling it. Part of the lyre, I believe. I never tasted anything like it. It was like a dream. I was so moved that I burst into song. I'm sorry, but are you saying that the lyre tasted good? I'd like to hear more about that if you don't mind. Oh. Is that even how you say that word in English? You're quite sure it was the lyre you tasted when you sampled Mr. Frost's work? Certain of it. It was part of the Gemini sculpture, which was the only sculpture in the display case. Mr. Tangaroa, would you mind taking a look at this photograph for me? So the part you tried was the lyre, the one shown here without any strings. Oh, there were strings originally. That was the part I ate. So the strings were missing because Mr. Tangaroa ate them all, and he enjoyed them. Miss Scone told us she ate a part of the lyre as well, but she said it was far too salty for her to finish. And it's true. The truth is, I've suspected for a while that there might be something wrong with my sense of taste. Something wrong? How so exactly? There's a taste disorder characterized by an inability to detect salty flavors. And I suspect I've been suffering from it. I eat so many sweet foods on a daily basis that it took a while for me to even notice. But there's no denying it now. That would explain why the food here seems so bland to him. What? But your taste buds are your livelihood! Even if there were some long-term treatment option, I highly doubt a total cure for your condition exists. Nevertheless, you should put in a request to the police for a proper evaluation. Oh, that won't be necessary. I have a recipe for a cure back at my mansion. You do? I do. You can take a look at it for yourself if you like. Samson, we can't show the recipe to just anybody. Judy, Mr. Ashworth is hardly just anybody. He's my attorney and I have no secrets from him. Yes, you're right, of course. If that is what you wish. What on earth is the secret recipe for a miracle cure that I've been hiding? I still don't know where this entire case is going. I will be very real. Like, definitely this entire game is very good at the whole, oh, you think you finally understand? But no, here's more information that you somehow need to puzzle together with the rest you already know. Well, I suppose I should be getting back. Alright, we'll be right behind you. Judy. Yes, Samson? There's more to life than just me. Please, Judy, think about the life you want to live. Because I won't always be around. No, don't say that. Without you, I don't have a life to live. So I'll be waiting right here at the mansion, right there at the mansion, until you come home. Now, if you excuse me. Wait, Miss Bound. Judy. Thank you for the pasta check and night time. Oh. An okay-ish pasta check. she seemed really upset. I thought I saw tears in her eyes. Why'd you even say all that to her? Because I worry about her. She can't keep putting my needs ahead of her own.
Thank you for your binary.
What do you mean? The Hadley collection, the candy making. It's all because she thinks these things will make me happy. She never thinks about what she wants, what she likes. Hi! Oh, you changed your name.
Oh, good evening. Welcome in.
I just want her to be her own person, to choose her own destiny. The last thing I want is for her to miss out on all that life has to offer because of me.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I guess that makes sense. He really does see her as his own child. What parent wouldn't want their child to walk their own path? And what parent wouldn't do everything they could to protect them? I know exactly how he feels in this moment. I think I've asked of you everything I can for now, Mr. Tangaroa. We should be getting back to the scene of the crime. Oh, you're leaving. I see. I suppose I'll be going back to the interrogation room for another session. Yes, we'll have to do something about that. You'll speak to the police for me? That too, but I'll be putting something else in place as well. An ace up our sleeve for when the time comes. I look forward to learning more. I'm counting on you, Mr. Edgeworth. We'll be back to breathe you, Mr. Tangaroa, every day. And Judy too. Thank you, Eddie. I look forward to it. Mr. Tangaroa, your interrogator will do everything in his power to extract a confession from you. I hate to see an innocent man suffer like this. But please, you have to do everything you can to hold out. If you can't, Mr. Funkama will use that confession against you for as long as his case lasts. And it will make it that much harder for me to save you. I understand, and I'll try. I won't give up until you're out of there, Mr. Tangaroa. You have my word on that. Alright. Detective Bad, thank you again for what you did earlier. Yeah, thanks a ton. Oh, taking your hat off and everything, that's so cool. What are you talking about? No need to be shy about it. Never mind that now. I'm guessing you two are back here, looking to investigate some more. We are indeed. We'll need something solid if we're going to save Mr. Tangaroa. Well, I hate to break it to you, but apart from this room, the whole place is on lockdown. What? But we need to see those other rooms. But this is Mr. Funkama's doing, I presume? Who else? Haven't seen the autopsy report yet either. Guys probably got a hand in that too. And don't expect to speak with anybody except us cops and Misbound. Everybody else is gone, and I doubt Funkama will be handing out phone numbers. Is this all just a game to him? Why does he have to go so far? So what's your plan of action, Detective? Same as before. Do what I can to help you uncover the truth, like I promised. You have my gratitude. Just you wait, Mr. Funkama, we're gonna beat you in your bag of dirty tricks. Heh. Detective, may we conduct a brief investigation of the area? Sure, but like I said, everywhere else is off bounds. Probably won't be seeing those rooms again. It's fine, as long as there's at least some way of continuing our investigation, we'll make do. Oh, my neck hurts. Santa Claus statue. Is this made of candy too? The door leads to Tangaroa's room, so yeah, could be he made that thing too. Speaking of Santa, that reminds me, I still need to find a present for Miles! You want an attorney's badge? I wonder if Mr. Tangaroa would make one out of candy for me if I asked. Oh, he would! He would! Probably would. What about this one? That's the door to Gusto's room. Guess the candy reindeer is meant to show the way. Again, looks like that must be a bull. I think not. Male reindeer shed their antlers in winter. Therefore, this must be a female. Thanks, Mr. Trivia. Attorneys. Can I teach you about reindeer law school, detective? That's funny as hell. Hi. So she's on the fountain depicts cherubs enjoying some chocolate fondue. All the leaks work, apparently. Gotta hand it to him. They look so real. Detective, are you saying you've personally seen cherubs before? Attorneys. Always poking holes in people's words. What? Did I do something wrong? Aww. Excuse me, may I ask what you're investigating? Sir, I'm analyzing the fountain water to see what might be in it, sir. And what did you find? A chocolate and what looks like the kind of flavorings and colorings used in frozen desserts, sir. The composition of the chocolate seems to be the same as that of Mr. Tangaroa's one. And the flavoring and colorings match the profile of those used in Mr. Frost's ice sculptures. These little rivers flow from all 4 artist rooms right here to this fountain. I guess that's how the stuff from the melted sculptures wound up in there. That's not all, sir. We also found blood. What? Where's there blood in the water? Why didn't you start with that? Think back to our investigation of the murder scene, detective. Take another look at the scene in front of us, detective. A very conspicuous pool of blood that should be here is clearly missing. Oh, yeah, the victim's blood was mysteriously absent, as was the part of the chocolate chest it had pooled on. I believe that the blood probably belonged to...
Take that!
Why's my mouse doing that? The victim, huh? Have the guy compare it with the blood on the murder weapon. What was that noise? It's a match. The blood in the fountain is Frost. Well, how would someone want to send the victim's blood downstream and into the fountain like this? Frost's blood was found in the fountain, but not at the scene of the crime. Hi. Miss Bound, we're here to continue our investigation. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm so sorry about earlier. She's still looking kinda down in the dumps, Mr. E. She must have been greatly taken aback by what Mr. Tangaroa had to say. I found a photograph of the semi-final entries for you. Here, it's all yours. Ooh! Oh, Miss Gunn sure knows how to make a cute cake. Yes, but Simpson loved the design for that one. And he left the designs in favor of Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost's entries too. Only problem was, as Simpson mentioned earlier, they tasted exactly the same. They look like they were made from the exact same pieces. However, the respective entries for the final tasted nothing alike, it seems. Was there anything else of note that changed between the semi-final and the final? Nothing major, but I guess there was one thing. Mr. Gusto's son was always here with him throughout the contest, but he was nowhere to be seen during the final. Why would his son come and hang out at a contest venue of all places? Are you sure you're happy for us to keep a hold of this? Of course, I hope it helps with your investigation. Oh, and I also have the book containing the recipe for the cure Samson mentioned. We've seen this book before. It was in a chocolate flame in Tangaroa's room. That's right, he put it on display there so that everybody could see the grand prize. What? The cure's in the ultimate cookbook? So it's not a book of dessert recipes, I take it? Oh no, we told the contestants, of course. But I guess nobody told you yet. The contestants all knew that what the ultimate cookbook was this whole time. Only used for creating a cure for taste disorders and other chemical and pharmaceutical items. I'd like to hear more about the cookbook if you don't mind, Miss Bao. So if I understand correctly, the ultimate cookbook is actually a collection of recipes for different medicines. Exactly, or rather totally new medications that haven't made it to the market yet. to be precise. But right by a pharmaceutical company, for example, it will be worth a fortune. But why make that the grand prize in a confectionery contest? Mr. Tangaroa is the sole heir to the Tangaroa family fortune. Perhaps you've heard of the Tangaroa Group? The Tangaroa Group? Yeah, I think I've heard of them somewhere before. It's a major pharmaceutical corporation, sells all kinds of pills and poisons. Oh yeah, the new Cold Killer Pro has been making some real waves since it went on sale. Uh-oh. I always reach for a cold killer when I'm feeling under the weather. Which is never, as far as I've seen. I'd like to hear more about the Tangaroa Group, if you don't mind. A Cold Killer Pro, huh? So did Mr. Tangaroa not want to take over for his parents, or go into the family business? No, he preferred the idea of making people's lives better through the power of confectionery. And his parents supported him in his quest to become the best in the world. Then when they passed away, he inherited the cookbook. But why would he make such a valuable heirloom a mere contest prize? He's been hounded by so many people looking to make that book their own. He was tired of it. But it would have been an insult to his parents' memory simply to give it away. Simply to give it away. Never mind. I was right. So he decided to find somebody he felt was worthy of it. I bet the board of directors loved that. Handing over the fruit of all their expensive research to someone else. They hated the idea, of course. Which is why Delicia entered the contest. The Tangaroa Group wanted her to win the book back for them. So you knew she was a pharmacist all along? Yes, and not only that, I told her how to appeal to Samson's tastes. I tried to help her win. But why? I wanted to protect Samson by protecting the Tangaroa Group. If the cookbook fell into another company's hands, the board would never forgive him. So I wanted to find a way to keep it within the company, but in a way that Samson couldn't object to. That's how Miss Scone managed to make it so far in a contest she had no business taking part in. And Miss Scone wasn't the only one pretending, was she? Mr. Frost wasn't really a confectioner either. And he still made it all the way to the final, just like she did. Not bad. Yes, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Such a talented sculptor and gifted craft of desserts too. Gifted indeed, judging by the standard of his work in the final. But how did one man produce pieces of that size and quality in such a short period of time? I'm not sure I have much more to tell you, but if there's anything else I can help you with, I'd be happy to, of course. I'm certainly very keen to ensure that she does all she can for Mr. Tangaroa. I could certainly use a cup of the tea you made us yesterday, if you wouldn't mind. I think that might help move the investigation along nicely. I'll have some too. Your tea's to die for, Miss Barrett. Don't say that! We have enough dead people already. Well, how could I possibly refuse? I'll bring it right out. You know, I think that should up a little. We've learned a little more about the contest participants, but there's still one question involving Mr. Gusto for which we never got an answer. Objection! What was he doing in Mr. Frost's room? And that's not all. I also have questions about the work he submitted for the semi-finals. A confectioner who admits to lacking design sense, and a sculpture with it in spades. Mr. Gusto could not have hoped to win such a high-level contest by himself, which is why I'm beginning to wonder if there was some sort of connection between him and Mr. Frost. Detective, I need to ask Mr. Gusto a few more questions. The story still doesn't quite add up for me. Me neither. We need to figure out how to get in touch with him. Oh, do you know? Do you know? I do not know. I cannot talk like that. Objection. Objection. Good luck with that. There's no intention of allowing it. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not doing that. Von Karma gets a normal voice, I don't care. Mr. Funkama. I'm already in the midst of my own investigation into Gusto, so there's no need for the likes of you to pester him with the same questions again. I will, however, be happy to answer any questions you might have. It seems dead set on preventing me from talking to Mr. Gusto, in which case... Fine, then allow me to take you up on your offer. Very well. What is it? I'd like you to tell me about the connection between Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost. Ah. The connection between Gusto and Frost. Or simply a matter of coincidence. They both happen to be taking part in the same contest. And that's all. That's all I have to say to you. What? But it doesn't help us at all. We'll have to confront him with evidence if we want to draw the truth out of him. It's imperative that we do. He's clearly hiding something. Wow. I feel like that's like the shortest bit of information we've ever gotten. 2 lines. 2 statements, I mean.
Objection!
I wonder if you could look at the 2 confections in the foreground for me, Mr. Funkama. They were made for the contest semi-finals. Both are quite exquisitely crafted, wouldn't you agree? Get to the point. As the nameplate suggests, these are Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost's entries. Mr. Gusto told us a confectionery design was far from a strong suit. And yet, his work in the picture is just as good as Mr. Frost's. Exactly as good, in fact. We learned from another witness that the 2 entries also tasted exactly the same.
Objection!
What are you suggesting? I am suggesting that they were helping one another out. Let's take a closer look, shall we? While at first glance the 2 may appear to be superficially different, it soon becomes apparent that there are significant similarities in how they were put together. They are made of the same ingredients, taste the same, and share a similar design aesthetic. This picture is proof positive that the 2 were working together. If you figure that much out, I suppose there's little point in denying it. Mr. Funkama knew all along that they were cooperating. But I'll warn you, none of what you're about to hear will be to your advantage. Let me confirm what you seem so desperate to prove. Gusto and Frost were indeed working together. Gusto spelled out the details of his relationship to Frost during his questioning last night. It seems they were helping one another right up until the day before the final. So, you knew that the 2 were cooperating. Mr. Funkama, why are you trying to bury the truth?
Objection!
Please, enough with the petty slander. I merely wanted to avoid you poking your nose around before I could provide proper context in court. It simply slipped my mind to explain that to you. Yeah, sure, of course. It doesn't explain why he's being so slippery with the facts, though. I need to figure out what it is he's hiding. I can't let things end like this. Every time Funkama's on the screen, I'm just like, what is your problem? Every single time. Hello, everyone! Hi, good evening!
Hold it!
Why were they cooperating? What isn't this guy's problem? Yeah. Gusto's sense of design is subpar, and Frost was an amateur confectioner at best. Neither of them stood a chance of making it through the contest alone. So what was their end game? Why cooperate only until the day before the finals? Gusto claims to have ended the scheme. Allegedly, he wanted to win the final on his own merits. His one and only goal really was to be crowned the world's best confectioner. And his pride would not allow him to do so with the help of another. Teachers can only ever win hollow victories, I guess? I was under the impression that the collaboration only lasted through the semi-finals. I'm starting to think it might have lasted up until the final itself. Mr. Funkama, I'd like to ask you some more about how long they worked together for, if you don't mind. If you must. until the day before the final.
Objection!
His voice, I don't know. I feel like in my head he does not have a voice that is this high. They weren't working together during the finals. I find that a little hard to believe. Muscone is on record as having described Mr. Frost's creations as scrumptious. And while he was certainly skilled, I doubt even he could have become a world-class confectioner overnight. It seems far more likely to me that he and Mr. Gusto were still cooperating during the finals. How many times must I explain this to you? Assertions require proof, and one person's entirely subjective statement does not prove of anything. Besides, even amateurs can occasionally make delicious food. Perhaps Frost was simply lucky. My wife, for example, is an amateur whose cooking puts first-class chefs to shame. You have a wife? I mean, yeah, I guess, sure. What? How is that not an entirely subjective statement? Furthermore, you're ignoring another crucial part of the pharmacist's testimony. Namely, that she also described some of Frost's work as having been unbearably salty. In other words, your evidence actually shows that Frost failed to produce the perfect confectionery. No more objections, I take it. There must be some way I can prove that Gusto and Frost were still collaborating. Mr. E? There's something that's been on my mind. Yes. What is it, Eddie? Mr. Frost's entry for the finals, wouldn't it have taken a while to make? I would imagine so. Making flavored water, freezing it all, and then carving 2 whole sculptures? Would he really have done all that and helped Mr. Gusto with his work? If it was me, I'd have barely gotten as far as the setting the flavored water up to freeze part. I just can't see how Mr. Frost could have pulled it off. Perhaps there's some loyalty instinct in you after all, Eddie. The ponderings certainly point to another possibility. Eddie's right. Mr. Frost would have needed to freeze his own large blocks of flavored ice to create his art. And there wouldn't have been time to do that during the contest itself. What must Mr. Frost have done in order to finish his flavored ice entry within the time limit? Make the ice a day before the final. He must have made the flavored ice a day before. That's all he would have. Then all he would have had to do was sculpt it. What are you muttering about now? Oh, I'm sorry. I just realized something. That's all. I realized that you're correct. What? Mr. E! I hope you know what you're doing. Oh, accepting defeat at last, are we? The only thing I'm accepting is that perhaps one of the things you said was true. They were helping one another right up until the day before the final. Just as you said, the day before the final really did mark the end of their collaboration. Mr. Frost's entry was carved entirely from blocks of flavored ice. Ice which would have needed at least a day to freeze, and whose flavors would therefore have already been prepared by Mr. Gusto. Yes, which lines up perfectly with what Gusto told me, that he helped Frost until the day before the final. In that case, why didn't Mr. Frost reciprocate and help Mr. Gusto in return? I can hardly be expected to read the minds of the dead.
Objection!
Perhaps not, but I'd imagine Mr. Gusto could tell us, so why don't you let us speak with him? Or do you still insist your interrogation was as thorough as you claim? How dare you call my methods into question? That's not my intention. I just don't understand why you would obstruct a perfectly valid line of inquiry. Give me one good reason as to why you're keeping Mr. Gusto from me. One good reason, certainly. The how and why of Frost and Gusto's collaboration have absolutely no bearing on this case.
Objection!
How can you possibly say that with any certainty? If their relationship had broken down for some reason, that could very well have been the motive behind this murder.
Objection!
Could it, indeed? Then why did Gusto himself tell me all about it? Why did the man you seem so keen on accusing share the details of his collaboration with the prosecution? Please tell me you have some proof to back up your preposterous suspicions this time. Mr. Gusto only acted suspiciously one time that we know of. And I imagine Mr. von Karma is aware of exactly what the suspicious action was. Which means this is probably a trap. Well, God got your tongue. But even if this is a trap, I can't back down now. Mr. Gusto snuck into Mr. Frost's room and we still don't know why. The fact alone is reason enough to suspect him. If that's your only concern, then allow me to clear it up for you. I knew it. It was a trap. I was saving this for the trial, but consider it a taste of things to come. Plus, I'd hate for the proceedings to drag on because of your needless interjections. Here, take a look at this. Oh, that's Gusto and Frost and their sons. Gusto snuck into Frost's room in order to retrieve this photograph. Why? It seems their sons attended the same elementary school. Gusto was concerned that the fact of Mr. Frost and his acquaintance might place him under undue suspicion. A concern that you have just proved he was entirely well-founded. Gusto's actions make perfect sense, and you have given me no reason to believe otherwise. Yeah, that does hurt. That does hurt. He's never going to let me talk to Mr. Gusto. Now, if you're quite done obstructing my investigation, I have things to be getting on with. That smart, self-righteous jerk! I'll give him something to be getting on with. What do we do, Mr. E? Mr. Tangaroa is finished if we can't figure something out. What's to be getting on with? What exactly could those things be? He has a body, a murder weapon, and a suspect in custody. Prosecution means to pursue Mr. Tangaroa. Surely they have all they need. So why is Mr. von Karma still investigating the scene of the crime? Something on your mind, Mr. E? We're missing something. Something important. Mr. von Karma has everything he needs to proceed with the prosecution of Mr. Tangaroa, and yet he still doesn't seem entirely confident of his case. If he was, why refuse to share information with Detective Bad? Oh yeah, autopsy report? In addition, we still haven't solved the mystery of what happened to the evidence that went missing. We're gonna look at the scene, yeah. No second floor was found in Tangaroa's room. Evidence had turned up not in Mr. Tangaroa's room, but in a most unusual place. Frost blood was detected in the water fountain. There were no traces of Mr. Frost's blood left in Mr. Tangaroa's room, yet we found some in the fountain instead. Why? Aha! Mr. Frost's blood went missing from the crime scene. Traces of it showed up in the fountain. Why go to the trouble of removing the blood from the scene after the body had been discovered? And why only the blood? Surely the body would have also been in the way. Wait, could someone have moved the body aside to get to the blood? Oh man, I wonder what am I supposed to connect here. So the body might have been moved aside, or even removed from the scene of the crime entirely. After all, as far as we know, there's still no autopsy report. We've learned plenty about the murder weapon and the suspect, but very little about the body itself. Our assumption thus far has been that the body had been recovered by the forensics team. But what if that assumption is false? Good evening, welcome in! What if Mr. von Karma wouldn't show Detective Bad the autopsy report out of something other than spite? What if you've been thinking about this the wrong way around all along? Ha ha ha! The question isn't why did Mr. von Karma hold back information about the body. It's did Mr. von Karma even have any information about the body in the first place? Aye! How do things look from that angle? Perhaps the body hadn't been removed by the police in order to carry out an autopsy. Perhaps it had already been removed and hidden away by the culprit before their arrival. Mr. E? You all heard the rumors about Mr. Funkama's questionable methods. Fabricated witness statements, shady deals, forged evidence even. Sure, everybody's heard of that stuff, but what's that got to do with us right now? I would never judge a person on the basis of rumors alone, even Mr. Funkama. I've tried my best not to let my preconceptions color our interactions with him. Nonetheless, it appears he may indeed be willing to twist the truth to his own ends. Twist the truth? You mean he's been playing dirty? I fear he might have been, and still is. And I'm not about to let him get away with it. Oh? Oh? I'm returning to the prosecutor's office. Don't breathe a word about anything to that infernal attorney. Yes, sir.
Hold it!
Hold it!
Yes. What is it now? I have a few questions, Mr. Funkama, about a certain fact you've been keeping from us. Really? You mean to call the methods of an officially sanctioned investigation into question yet again?
Hell yeah!
I'm warning you, if you obstruct the police and work any further, there will be consequences.
Objection!
Objection!
It's not the police I have an issue with, Mr. Funkama. It's you. What? Isn't it on the prosecution to work out who the real culprit of a crime is? What foolishness is this? I have no intention of debating what the prosecution's role is or not with the likes of you. But let me make one thing clear. My job is to identify suspects and ensure that every last one of them is convicted at all costs. Believe me when I say I leave absolutely no room for doubt when I present my perfect, unassailable cases.
Objection!
And how far would you go for your perfect cases? Would you create facts out of whole cloth, perhaps? And I thought you'd outdone yourself already. But now you intend to accuse me of fabricating evidence. I do. Because it is why you've done nothing but hinder a Detective Bat from doing his job at every turn. What are you talking about? You didn't shut him out of the investigation because you wanted him to keep an eye on us. You did it to stop him from finding out that you don't have the body. What? He doesn't have the body?
Objection!
Ridiculous. You're clutching at straws. I will tolerate no more of your preposterous slander. Then allow us to examine it. Prove me wrong if you can. I'm afraid you have to try a little harder than that. I'm under no obligation whatsoever to prove your baseless accusations one way or another.
Objection!
As you must have seen for yourself, a piece of bloody chocolate is missing from the scene of the crime. Where did it disappear? And where did it go? What does it matter? Some blood went missing from the chest where the body was found, so what? The chest? So what indeed? That's precisely my question. If the body was still at the scene when the police got here, removing the blood would accomplish nothing. However, let us suppose for a moment that the body was not. If someone had wanted to erase any trace of what had happened in that room, then it all makes perfect sense.
Objection!
What is this petty obsession with the bloodstain? But since it's so important to you, why don't you tell me where you believe it went? Of course. After all, evidence is everything, as you never tire of telling us. I believe this should back up my theory quite nicely. What evidence do I have that shows where the blood from Mr. Tangaroa's room went?
Yeah.
Take that!
Take that. Traces of the victim's blood were found in the fountain, along with traces of the chocolate from Mr. Tangaroa's room. I believe the missing piece of blood-stained chocolate was dumped into the stream that flows to the fountain, which strongly points toward one certain fact. Someone purposefully disposed of the blood after the body had been removed from the chest. Mr. von Karma, where did you find the body? You didn't find it, did you? Answer me. Where did you get your hands on that kind of evidence? You've neither the authority nor the means to carry out that kind of analysis on the fountain water. No, but I do. Curse you, bad. You've been a thorn in my sight from the moment you were assigned. No longer. As of now, you're officially off the case. I was barely on it in the first place. Mr. von Karma, you still haven't answered my question. Will you admit it? Will you confirm that no body was ever recovered? It's really quite the claim, you know. And one for which you'll never find any proof for, I'm afraid. What must I do to get an answer out of him? Now, if you don't mind, I have given you quite enough of my precious time already. I look forward to destroying you in court, Gregory Edgeworth. Your precious logic and theories won't save you then. Nothing will.
What is wrong with this man?
Mark my words, Mr. von Karma, your methods will be your undoing. No matter how you try to hide the truth, I bring it all to light in the end. Forgive me, detective. I didn't mean to put you in a difficult position. Don't sweat it. It was always gonna end this way. Honestly, nobody's ever sidelined me the way he did before. First time for everything, huh? You know, I think you might be right about the body being missing. I am, and I'll prove it in court. Well, if there's anything I can do to help, just say the word. Since, you know, I'm off the case now. That's very kind, and I'm sorry to keep asking favors of you, Detective Bad, but there's one more thing. Hey, what are you guys whispering about? Come on, let me in on the secret. Alright, Eddie. Detective and I were just arranging a little insurance for the trial. I think we have enough to see Mr. Tangaroa acquitted. But I prefer to have an ace in the hole, just in case. And? What is it? You find out in the courtroom. Wait, what? You're letting me join you? Of course I am. You're my assistant after all. I'll be more than that by next year. I'll be a full-fledged attorney, you know. We can take on Mr. von Karma together. Indeed. Though I'm hoping we have freed Mr. Tangaroa by then. But if we're up against Mr. von Karma, I guess we can't rule out the possibility that this might take some time. Right, but we'll do everything we can in the meantime. I know you can beat Mr. von Karma, Mr. E. I believe in you. And allow Mr. Tangaroa to remain in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And we won't. I'll expose Mr. von Karma's lies if it's the last thing I do. Ooh. Don't say that! And it goes to black and white because it was indeed the last thing he did. Oh, why would you say that? Mr. Edgeworth, please. Yes, I would like to save my progress. Alright. And that's pretty much how things went out. Those are the facts of IS-7 as far as I'm concerned. I'm finally learning the truth about my father's last case. So what happened at the trial? Well, we lost. Von Karma did a real number on us. Really? You couldn't prove that Mr. Tangaroa was innocent? No, we could prove it alright. Had a decent little pile of evidence in our favor. Problem was, we underestimated Funkama. He fought even dirtier than we'd feared. I can imagine. Secure conviction at all costs. That was always his guiding principle. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Anywho, the trial dragged on and on. Whole thing took about a year in the end. I'll never forget the day the verdict came down. December 28th that following year. It's April now, so mama, we're talking over 17 years ago. Time sure does fly, huh? December 28th. I was there that day 17 years ago, sitting in the courtroom gallery. Just before the trial got started, Gregory noticed that Samson was looking even worse than usual. Turns out the poor guy had finally reached his limit. It was so bad, even said he wanted to be found guilty. Wait, you mean they forced a confession out of him? Yeah, Funkama got what he'd been pushing for from the very beginning. And when Gregory tried to drop the bombshell out about there being no body to speak of, he learned that Funkama had used the power of the police to head him off at the pass. He even had himself a fake autopsy report. But that wasn't the end of it. Funkama had gotten Samson to falsely testify against himself to being an accessory to murder in court. Combined with his confession, the poor guy's goose was well and truly cooked. But Gregory still had his ace in the hole, though. Same ace he asked Detective Bad to help him with? Exactamundo. He knew he needed one last card to play if they squeezed the confession out of Samson. So he had Bad record all of Samson's interrogations. I guess Detective Bad really wanted to know the truth too, huh? We all did, but he was a trooper. Stayed with the case even after Funkama took him off of it. He was tied up in some other big case too. Good or bad. They don't make him like that anymore. Anyway, Gregory presented the recordings as proof that Samson's confession was coerced. And you know what? It almost worked. A cop named Ian Sideman got fired. Samson's interrogator and the initial detective before Bad, he took the fall for pretty much the whole thing. But Funkama didn't get away scot-free. In fact, he was disciplined by the chief prosecutor. For the one and only time in his 40-year career. Still, Samson himself couldn't stomach another day in court. So when that guilty verdict came down, it didn't just signal the end of that day, but the whole sad affair. I don't remember a lot myself, but my father's face when they declared Mr. Tangaroa guilty. I was a young child at the time, but even I could tell how much he was hurting inside. Gregory wanted to appeal the ruling, of course. He would have done anything to clear Samson's name. But then, you know what happened next. Poor guy. He never got the chance. I should have left with him that day. I'll always blame myself for not doing that. But I shoved that aside and obsessed over something else instead. Or rather, someone else. I hated what you did. I hated you for choosing to stick with Funkama. I hope you can forgive me. No, you had every right to hate me. I went on to become a prosecutor as planned, and that's when Mr. Funkama showed me this case file. According to these records, Mr. Tangaroa was convicted as the main culprit in Mr. Frost's murder. No. That's not right. Samson was convicted as an accessory to murder. Strange. The file clearly states that he was the perpetrator. Plus, I'm fairly certain that all of Mr. Funkama's cases were successfully solved. Mind if I take a peek at those? This file's been doctored. The part about the verdict, it's been changed. What? Here, feast your peepers on this. Organized a confectionery contest. Victim's body was found inside one of his creations leading to his arrest. While in detention, Tangaroa discovered that he had a taste disorder, which was subsequently cured via medication. Verdict: convicted as an accomplice based on his confession. Convicted as an accomplice? That's a copy of the file they have on record at the courthouse. Then why is my copy so different? Well, you said it came from Funkama, yeah? My guess is he didn't want Gregory's son thinking there was a murder out there still at large. Murderer. Didn't want you looking into it again before the statute of limitations was up. So everything I believed about the case was a lie? I'd like to say we all gotta start somewhere. What's important is you know what's what now. The statute of limitations may have run out, but the truth's still out there, you know. I inherited Samson's case when your old man passed. The prosecution handed it off to somebody else too. The great von Karma wasn't going to bother facing off against a rookie like me, was he? Anyway, long story short, the killer was never found, and Samson was found guilty instead.
That's terrible. Is there really nothing we can do to help him?
Not without the real perp, I'm afraid. Until then, his confession stands. Speaking of which, I didn't find out until after the verdict had been handed down, but von Karma had threatened Samson and made him a deal. Told him if he didn't confess, he'd make sure Judy was convicted instead.
How could he?
Samson knew there was no way Judy could have done it, of course. But he wasn't going to take any chances, so he did what he was told and confessed to keep her safe. Now riddle me this, Malsy boy. Why do you think your Uncle Eddie just happened to be in the prison the day Bronco Knight died?
That's right.
You were there to see Mr. Tangaroa. Bingo. Judy and I both promised we'd visit him every day. I didn't quite keep that promise. But Judy did. She never missed one visit in all these years. And rain or shine, she always showed up. But none of that changes the fact that Samson is still being unduly punished day after day.
How heartbreaking. We got to do something, Mr. Fender.
Well, kiddo, that's actually why we came here. The art sculptures are back on display, just like they were all those years ago. And we're going to see what we can find out. Right, Mazarino? I'm a prosecutor, Fender. I don't look at these things in the same way as you or my father. Miles. But it doesn't matter right now. Speaking not as a prosecutor, but as Miles Edgeworth. I want to know the truth behind both of these cases, and I'm not leaving until I do.
Hell yeah.
You really are all Gregory's son through and through. Alright then, now that that's sorted, we can really get to work. Good thing I brought the I-7 case file and evidence with me today, huh? Here, documents first. Who doesn't love paperwork, am I right? The parts in red are my annotations. Woo! Let me see those. Thank you, Fender. And here's some evidence for you. Enjoy! There's quite a few, so I'd take a minute to scope them out if I were you. Small mountain of evidence from the I-7 incident received from Fender. Yes, I see. Take a look at them in a bit. Let me see. Ah, the cookbook, the frame finger marks, the salt lamp. Family photo. Oh, the family photo. Statute of limitations expired 3 years ago on December 4th, 24th. Common business confections. Infection was because of the swelling blow to the head. No, these are also reported the body gone missing. Alright.
You know, our current case is just full of loose stats too, come to think of it.
Indeed. The key players of the incident 18 years ago who just happened to get caught up in another incident. Yeah, just happened to. The sculptures in the Winter Wing are the perfect replicas of the ones from 18 years ago. The poison gas attack in the Autumn Wing, which has been disguised to look like the Winter Wing. The two chemicals that were found inside the Pisces statue's display case, ubiquium and asphyxium. That form of poisonous gas when mixed together. The victim of the gas attack, Camilo Gusto, who's no stranger to the events of 18 years ago, and who's still unconscious and undergoing treatment in the medical room. And finally, we come to the body floating face down in the fountain. And the fact that the art sculptures have melted, just as they did all those years ago. They did. I can talk. Events of the present day would appear to be intimately linked with the events of the past. Which means they may be able to help us learn more about what happened 18 years ago.
Sounds good to me. Let's get investigating.
Objection!
Oh no, you don't. Are you forgetting somebody? Could have sworn this as my investigation.
Yes, this is quite right. I do hope you aren't intending to obstruct him in his duties, Mr. Edgeworth. I would hate to have to add a guilty to my report to the committee. What am I guilty of now? Of course not. I'm simply offering once again to do what I can to help with this investigation. Your offer is duly noted and duly declined. She isn't pulling any punches. The identity of the body from the found is currently being ascertained. It's only a matter of time until we have all the information we need. Perhaps I can help you speed that process along. I think I have an idea of who our mystery victim might be. Really? Then you have to tell me it's the law. Very well. Maybe it isn't just the sculptures that have resurfaced after 18 years. The body in the fountain may also be a visitor from the past.
Take that!
I believe the body in the fountain is that of the man who was murdered here 18 years ago. Mr. Artie Frost. What? You're saying that was poor Chili Wings? Wait, who the heck is Chili Wings or Artie or whoever it is you're talking about? Artie Frost was a famous sculptor, Eustace. Although he was better known as Paul Lilly. Sculptures on display here all his works. No way, sounds like he did well for himself. Always good to encounter a fellow winner. Mr. Frost was also the victim in the I-7 incident. Hitchcock knows about the I-7 incident. Mr. Atchworth, the I-7 incident is an 18-year-old case. According to police records, the victim's body was recovered and an autopsy duly carried out. Sure, that's what the records say, but the records can't always be trusted. What are you insinuating? That while the records say stuff like body totally recovered, the defense back then begged to differ. Not that to stop the prosecution from shutting them down hard, of course. Yeah, this is winner. What? Really? What is it, Eustace? The body! We got an ID. Some sculptor called Frost or something, so I guess Edgeworth called it? So my father's deductions were right all along. Well, Judge Gavel, I say this changes things, wouldn't you? Perhaps now you admit that I might be of use to this case. More than a certain junior prosecutor, anyway. No fair, you're trying to steal the win. I'm doing no such thing. All I want is to uncover the truth. And if we're going to go and get to the bottom of what happened here, we'll need to work together. You do not need to do anything, and you do not need to know the truth. This case is none of your concern.
Objection!
Oh, there, Judge G. I think you might be wrong about that. And none of your interruptions, Mr. Fender. Yep. See, I was on a defense team for I-7, so this case is very much my concern. I was one of the pesky kids pushing the theory that the body had actually gone missing. The prosecutor at the time may have brushed us off, but you can't deny the testimony of your eyes. Or, to put it a little more bluntly, the prosecution's case was rotten from the ground up. And there's been a miscarriage of justice caused by the prosecution. It's the committee's job to fix it, no? And who better to help you unpick the mess than someone who was there at the time? Unless you have an ulterior motive. Mr. Gavel seems to know the facts of the I-7 incident in some detail. In which case, I suspect she must be here on the committee's behalf. Your connection to the case is noted, Mr. Fender, but I fail to see how it concerns Mr. Atchworth. He's the son of the original defense attorney and a protege of the case's lead prosecutor. If that's not enough for you, he was at the trial too. I think it's just possible he might have a little something to bring to the table, don't you? Very well, you may both assist in the investigation, but only if you refrain from interfering with the work of others. The winter wing is off limits for now. This room, however, is all yours. Alrighty. Great to hear we're on the same wavelength, G. Why don't we bring it in to show we're all on the side of justice? Do not test me, Mr. Fender. Your permission to investigate can be revoked at any time. Duly noted, Your Honor. This is a turn up for the books, huh, Milesy? You get to do your own thing after all. Thanks to your immeasurable help, as always. No sweat. Besides, I was mostly doing it for me. Okay, I'll be investigating my own thing, so just holler if you find something interesting. I will. Ooh. Well, okay, shall we?
Heck yeah! Let the investigation commence.
We're still unclear on two key facts. How Mr. Frost's body came to be where we found it, and the source of the ubiquitous.
You're right. We need some more intel.
Indeed. Let's focus on the ubiquitous first and foremost.
It's used in stuff like dish soap and paint, right?
Correct. It's also bright red in color and has a distinctive minty fragrance.
Minty? Okay, sounds like we know what we're looking for. Ka-ching!
Yo, I can walk. Oopsie, I can walk into people. Mrs. Brown's tea set is laid out neatly in the serving cart.
Pamphlet says the gallery is famous for its tea.
Understandably so. The cup we were given was delicious.
Looks like all of this stuff was designed by Mr. Frost.
Interesting. In that case, I think we better take a closer look.
Yeah.
So this dishware was made by Artie Frost.
It looks very fancy.
Oh, it is. I'm willing to bet that this set can fetch something in thousands of dollars. Let's try not to touch any of it unless we absolutely have to.
This stuff's really worth that much?
Stop it, Kay. I can see your eyes lighting up. Spell must really be a fan of Mr. Frost like Fender said to still have this. I mean, honestly, if I had a teapot like this, even if it wasn't by a famous designer, I would also treat it with great care because it looks cool as hell.
Hi, Roo. Hey, Edgy.
What is it?
You be careful with that teapot, you hear?
Why is Larry so concerned all of a sudden?
Honored guests. I can pour you a cup if you like.
Miss Bound.
Judy!
I'm good, thanks. No tea for me. You two knock yourselves out. Thank you for the offer. Yes, why not? A quick break won't hurt.
2 cups coming right up.
She just let her hair grow, like, all of those years.
This smells great.
Sugar ice cream. Aw, thank you.
It tastes even better than it smells. What type of tea is this mustache work?
It's Ceylon, I believe. It's usually identifiable by its citrus aroma, but... Miss Pound, is this the same blend you served this morning?
Well, yes. Is it alright? There isn't anything wrong with it, is there?
Oh, no, not at all. It's just that the cup you gave me earlier had a slightly different aroma.
Really? That's odd. I used the exact same blend both times. Can't see what could account for the difference.
Hey, what's the big idea?
Quit being mean about Judy's tea, will you?
It's gotten under your skin, Larry.
Nothing. You're just rude, that's all. You don't even try to call me by the right name. It's Loris Donim. Right? Dang it. You know what? I'm done. I'm not talking to you anymore.
That was childish, even for him.
Wow, what happened there?
Let's ask him about it later, shall we? Talking to Miss Bound is more of a priority right now. We may not have any evidence to prove that she's the culprit, but it does seem likely that the poison gas was her doing. Yo-ho-ho! Sorry, I want the achievement.
That's one swanky teapot.
That's one way of putting it. I lean more towards eccentric myself.
Whatever it is, it won't do for a great thief to remain so ignorant about such chic things.
Actually, your ignorance is my bliss. There we go. There's an achievement for examining the teapot as both actual junior and senior. Apparently. From the color and aroma, I say this is a puddle of spilled tea.
And look, there's a small chunk of ceramic in it.
Oh.
I guess somebody must have broke something.
I know that insignia. And a certain high-strung somebody just might know a little something too. Oh boy. Larry, what do you do again? Seems the police have already removed the body.
Why did the body of a victim from 18 years ago turn up in this fountain? And why wasn't it rotten and stuff? Did it slowly shuffle its way here?
Need I remind you that zombies aren't real? It seems likely that the body was preserved somehow.
Really? Is that even possible? Hey, Mr. Forensics guy, anything to report?
Yes, ma'am. Traces of both ubiquium and asphyxium have been detected in the fountain.
I'm gonna say they were probably carried here by the stream from the autumn wind.
In addition to those two chemicals, there's also a large amount of sugar. The composition of the sugar is being analyzed as we speak. Sugar in the fountain? Where would it even have come from? Sugar in the fountain, okay. What's this thing? Why is there a lift car just sitting here out in the open?
Somebody must have been moving something heavy.
The top of the platform seems to be wet. You know, I've got a funny feeling I've seen this thing somewhere before.
You mean like 18 years ago?
Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. I last saw it at Frost's room. You must have used it to move the ice sculptures around. It's one of those fancy numbers where you can change not only the platform's height, but even its angle. If you had one of these, you could move giant lumps of ice around no sweat. Ah, top of the platform's wet.
Oh, just think of the possibilities. I could really use one of these.
Still doesn't explain what it's doing here though. Bit of a head scratcher, but we should give it a think, yeah? Indeed, after all, it just might have something to do with our case. Do you mind, Mr. Winner? You have my way.
I do mind, actually. I'm not going anywhere. You just have to go around me. Well, we just thought you might want to move to a better spot, that's all.
A better spot? I demand you show it to me at once. Is that really all it takes to make you do whatever we want? Oh yeah, okay, game is like, no, you're not allowed to go in there right now. Fuck off. Okay.
Hello there, dearie. Still investigating away, are you? Found anything interesting? No, dearie. Well, nothing much anyway. Silly girl, that wasn't a dearie moment. That was more of a lambkin. Sweetheart is for when you're being sympathetic, of course, and treasure is for when they're in a tits. Love is for people you're not that keen on, and petal you use when you're trying to get someone's attention. Oh, I didn't realize there were so many rules. Miss Ezra's petal, I hope you're getting all this down.
Don't even try it, Kay.
Oh, dearie me.
Oh, they're so cute. Hi, Larry. I'm going to keep this simple, Larry. You're hiding something, so just tell me what it is.
Oh, credit with the glare of you two, it's weird.
Come on, Kay, you know me better than that. I wasn't staring or struck by an idea for a picture. Now, Edgy, he was glaring. Yes, and I'll keep glaring at you until you tell us what it is you're hiding.
Quit it! I already told you I'm not talking to you anymore.
You're talking to me right now.
I mean, from now on, I'm not talking to you ever again, starting now.
This is getting me nowhere. I suppose I have to figure out what he's hiding first before I can get the whole truth out of him. Ugh, you're so annoying. Would you mind taking a look at this for me, Larry?
Why would you show me that?
Tell me, what is it about Miss Bounce tea set that's got you so agitated? If you won't tell me, then perhaps you prefer to explain it to Jessica Bell?
Wait, don't make me look bad in front of Verity. She thinks I'm a sensible, cool, clean-cut guy.
She does not. I assure you, no one thinks that. I wanted to see the real me, the real low-down, dirty me. I'm not so sure anybody here thinks you're particularly clean-cut, Larry. But if you don't want it to think badly of you, the best thing you can do is talk to me.
Alright, I'll talk.
Ah. Alright, Larry, enough is enough. Now confess. Is this any way to treat your best friend, Edgy? Is this any way for you to treat yours? By lying to him? Hiding things? I get the picture already, so stop glaring at me like that. I'll tell you everything, okay? Earlier, I thought Verity might like a cup of tea, so I went to pour one for her. But I got distracted and my hand slipped and smash! I broke the teapot. The priceless work of art is in pieces because of me. No words exist to describe how far away I saw this coming from.
Ouch, you really messed up this time, Loris.
See, Edgy, everyone's going to think less of me now. Judy's never going to forgive me for this.
Yeah, he's like, oh, best friend, ooh. Crying to me won't do you any good. I think you need to apologize to Miss Bound. Oh, my teapot. I see. I'm sorry, Judy. I'm so sorry. I don't have any money, but I'll paint your portrait. I'll paint you 50 portraits. Please, Mr. Dornham, it's really me who should be apologizing. How could I fail to notice that there were broken pieces of ceramics on the floor? Somebody could have been hurt. Here, let me make sure that's safely disposed of. The teapot in question was designed by Artie Frost, correct? I understand it was something you've long treasured. You must be upset. Oh, I am. But of course, all things break eventually. She is so pretty. Her design is gorgeous. And as luck would have it, I have another identical teapot. It's far from the end of the world. She's less attached to Mr. Frost's work than she used to be. Can't believe this, Judy. You're the sweetest, the kindest. This other teapot you're talking about. It's the one sitting on top of the cart right now, right? What do you mean? Yeah, so when I smashed the first one, I tried to hide the pieces in the bottom of the cart. And that's when I saw the other pot under there, so I took it out and basically switched the two pots. Oh, I see. Yeah, and that's everything I have to tell you. I'll be extra careful not to break the other one, I promise. You have no shame whatsoever, do you? I'm sorry. It's really quite alright. Thank you for being so honest. See, Edgy, isn't Judy the absolute best? I trust you won't take advantage of her kindness and will make amends somehow. I sure will. Once I make it as an artist, I'm going to give her one of my paintings. She was one of my models after all. It's only fair. At this rate, I suspect he's likely to make more trouble than amends. Don't you think it would be better for you to keep out of her way for a very long while? Oh, but I will be keeping out of her way, because I sketched her and the others already. Her and the others. Keen to see my work, huh? Yeah, I drew a few great sketches of some ravishing beauties. Wanna see? Interested in Loris's ravishing beauties, huh, Mr. Edgeway? I'm afraid you've greatly misjudged, Kay. I simply wish to see if Larry has captured any unusual details this time, too. Unusual details? Nothing's unusual about these. They're my best work yet. Really? Now I want to see them too. Oh, you're a sweetheart, Kay. Alright, let me dig them out for you. Give me a sec, okay? I suppose we might as well take a look. Show me. So these sketches of yours. Seriously, Edgy, if you wanted to check out my art, you should have just said so from the get-go. Here, feast your eyes on this. Ooh! He has got better at drawing. These are good. These are really good. What? What am I looking at here? I told you already, ravishing beauties. Just a few of the fair faces that have caught my eye since I've been here, you know. Verdi and Judy and, somebody else? Why did you draw them all on the same page? Well, I meant to draw the room at first, just something to pass the time. And then I saw one beauty and another, and, well, I just scribbled them all down as I went. So these were all drawn at different times? Huh? Yeah, I guess. I have one of you too, Kay. You're on a different page, though. Oh, you did? I'm flattered. How true to life are these sketches? Did you only draw what you actually saw? Of course! You think I draw things I can't see? Like, using my imagination? No, these are 100% true to life, right down to the exact shade of each color. Ooh. So the colors are accurate. Interesting. I mean, if he's actually drawing every single day, I'm not even surprised if he's keeping at it. Much as it pains me to admit it, Larry may have provided me with a useful piece of evidence yet again. Second card in the sketch, for example, if I compare it to the one here in the room, there's a clear contradiction between the two. I think a little deduction is in order. Can I borrow this page for a while, Larry? Sure thing. You want me to sign it for you? Just a page, please. Oh.
Eureka!
Larry, could I ask you something about your sketches? Fascinated by the work of the great Laurie Stoneham, huh? It's composition, right? Not exactly. This light blue tablecloth, you painted that exactly as you saw it, correct? I already told you, everything is exactly as I saw it. But the tablecloth on the card here in this room is white. Oh. You had so full crazy theories, so simple stuff just passes you right by, huh? What's that look for? And listen, just before I drew that sketch, I was in the middle of some business with the card with the tea set on it, okay? Kind of business? That's right. It was the hiding a piece of the teapot I smashed kind. That's nothing to boast about. Anyway, I was still in the middle of cleaning it all up when Judy came out of the window wing. I didn't want to get busted for breaking the pot, so I quickly dove out of sight. Wait, Miss Bound came out of the window wing? Yeah, and she was pushing a cart, a different one. That's the one with the light blue tablecloth on it that I drew. And what did she do with the second serving cart? Well, I saw her wheeled into the summer wing, but I don't know what happened to it after that. When she came back out, she was pushing one of those other carts, the kind you can lift stuff with. A lift cart. Yeah, so I called out to her, but she just ran off and left it behind. Never had her down as a shy type, but it just goes to show you never know. Another serving cart and a lift cart. Is there maybe another tea set too? You better check with Miss Bell. Oh-ho. I suspect the difference in aroma we notice is due to the teapots having been switched. You do? I can't see what else it could have been. The tea itself hadn't changed. Why don't we ask Miss Bound just to be sure? Miss Bound, the difference in aroma we noticed, do you think it could have been because of the different teapot? I suppose so. My cup just now had a subtle minty scent, rather like uva tea. Uva. Oh, I just remembered. I made some peppermint tea in that pot only yesterday. That must be where the minty aroma is coming from. Could that really be it? Could that really be it? The tea from the teapot Larry switched in from under the cart smelled faintly of mint. Right, Miss Bound said she used that pot to make peppermint tea yesterday. Yes, but there's something else that's been troubling me. Miss Bound seemed more taken aback by the switching of the teapots than the breaking of one. You're right, you'd expect it to be the other way round. I suspect she might have been deliberately hiding the teapot underneath the cart. But why? One of Ubiquium's key characteristics is its minty fragrance. So what if she had been hiding some in that teapot? What? In the teapot? It's simply a possibility, but one worth investigating, I believe. Mr. Winner, any luck finding that Ubiquium? Huh? Oh. My people are searching the entire gallery, but they haven't found anything yet. What about you? Don't tell me you know where it came from. I may have an idea. I knew it. If I can't find it, there's no chance I'll use this. What? You do know where it came from? Yes. What? Where? Miss Bound's teapot. Oh, nice piece. I like it. Yeah, this looks like a fitting price for a natural-born winner. It's not a price. It's a vital piece of evidence. Ah, it's just evidence. I'll have one of the forensics people check it out. Don't smash it. Mr. Edgeworth, is there some sort of problem with my teapot? Possibly. The minty fragrance we notice coming from it. I think it just might be the scent of one of the chemicals used to make the poison gas. Mr. Edgeworth, surely you don't think I had anything to do with that? I'm afraid I do. The method used to create the gas would have required considerable preparation. Nobody would have had the time or the opportunity to set it up except you. That's not strictly true. It took around a week to get Zodiac Hall ready for the exhibition. There were all kinds of people coming and going through here during that time, Delicia for one. So you see, I'm not the only person who could have set it up at all.
Miss Scone is an R-rater too, of course. You needn't worry about that.
Besides, I wouldn't know the first thing about making poison gas. So even if you did find some ubiquium in my teapot, I wouldn't have had any idea what to do with it. But I suppose we should see what the test results say first.
Don't claim she doesn't know the first thing about making poison gas. I need to find a way to prove that she's lying. Antwer speaking.
Sir, it's me!
Is everything alright, Detective?
Everybody's left the window wing, it's just me in here now. Which means I can tell you what we found out.
You really shouldn't be sharing information about the investigation. But after the past week or so, I'm not about to stop him now.
Exhibits in here have all completely melted. All that's left in the display cases is some stuff at the bottom. More of it in the Taurus case than the Gemini case, though.
Describe the stuff for me if you can.
Yes, sir. It's like a pale blue liquid. I had the lab run some tests just now. The sample from the Taurus case, it just had a bunch of sugar in it. But the one from the Gemini case had 3 different substances in it.
Which were?
Sugar, salt, and blood.
Blood? What is salt and blood doing in the Gemini's case sample?
Can't imagine whose blood it could possibly be, but we'll get it tested right away, sir.
Please do, Detective.
Oh, I also spoke over the radio with the forensics guy working in the fountain room. He said he just got word that the sugar they found in the fountain matches the sugar in the pale blue liquid.
I see. That might well prove to be a significant development. Anything else to report, Detective?
Yes, sir. We found one of those light-emitting devices here in the window wing, too.
There were a few of those being used in the autumn winter disguise as the window wing, as I recall. It seems that the equipment from 18 years ago is more than just for show. I need to talk to Miss Scone about this.
Anyhow, I better be getting back to it. I'll let you know as soon as we hear from the lab about the blood.
Yes, thank you, Detective.
Was that Gummy? Seems like he had a lot to say.
He did, and all of it very useful. I'm going to prove that Miss Bound's claims about who could have set up the poison gas trap are false. I'll need to talk to a certain somebody else who was here 18 years ago. Oh, well, there's only that many people who that could have been. Hey, Malzarino, what's the situation with the investigation? Things are progressing. I think a fuller picture of what happened is beginning to emerge. Good to hear. Guess I better step up my game too, then. This case seems to have a lot in common with the incident from 18 years ago. And how? It's got a lot. Melting statues in the winter wing, even the murder victim's body.
But how did nobody ever figure out that the body had gone missing?
Boss had my family apart from his son. And, well, the kid kinda vanished. Nobody's seen him since around the time of the incident. Gusta's son too. Him and his best pal from school both just up and disappeared. What?
What? And they were never found?
Gusta's boy wasn't. Not as far as I heard anyhow. Guess Frost kid turned up in the end though. He collected his inheritance at some point. But yeah, with no family around just after the incident, Frost got no funeral, no nothing. So no need for the police to release the body, and no need for anybody to find out they didn't have it. I felt a fake autopsy report and nobody was any the wiser. Well, almost nobody. I still can't believe Mr. Funkama would have stooped so low. I can. Tell me, Fender, what kind of person is Miss Bound? Huh? Wait a minute. Don't tell me you've got a thing for her, Master. I do not. Chill, I'm just yanking you, Ching. Anyway, what can I say about you? Well, she's a real brave trooper for one. What else do you call someone who waits around for 18 whole years like she has for Samson? Even after his extended family kicked her out of this place.
What? They threw her out?
Yeah. Jude wasn't technically part of the family, so there was nothing she could do. She had nothing, nobody, and no job after Samson took the fall. So she had no choice but to take what they thought her and make her own way in showbiz. She's retired from all that now, though. Yes. Why did she retire? She'd finally made enough to buy the old place back. She even got the ultimate cookbook back from the Tangaroa group after they basically stole it. I guess this place and everything to do with it was all she ever cared about. So she just wanted it back. All of it. She seems very sympathetic to Miss Pound's plight. But from a less charitable perspective, she has, in a way, taken everything of Mr. Tangaroa's for herself. Miss Scone, I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Of course, dear. Fire away. Anything for you, Milesy Smilesy, and dear sweet little tooth decay.
I'd appreciate it if that was the last time you called me Milesy Smilesy.
I'm not a fan of tooth decay either. Well, you just have to like it or lump it. I can't change a nickname once I've settled on it. I guess we try it.
Tooth decay? What can you tell us about the various devices used to decorate the gallery's exhibits? There seem to be some pretty specialized items in use, light-emitting devices, luminous fabrics.
Oh, I can tell you all about those, dearie. After all, I'm the one who gave them to Moody Judy. It was my way of saying sorry after I broke the rules all those years ago. I bought her 4 lovely new salt lamps, and I gave her the 4 pieces of luminous cloth I used for the contest.
Ow, that's super generous of you.
Well, us girls have to do our best, don't we? Not everybody understands, of course.
That this woman didn't age a day in these 17 years. I wonder how old she is. That better not be a dig at me, Delish. I told you how kind I thought that was.
Yes, back when you were a dear, sweet, innocent baby boy. What happened to you, eh?
That dear, sweet, innocent baby boy, Mr. Fender.
Can't quite picture that, I have to say.
So these decorations, they're all the same as the ones you saw 18 years ago, correct? Yep. Salt lamps, glowing fabric, light-emitting doodads, the whole bit. There were 4 luminous clocks in use in the autumn wing, but I'm sure I saw another one somewhere. Maybe I should jog her memory or something so Miss Scone will tell us more. Miss Scone, you're something of a specialist. How might someone learn to make the poison gas that was used in the attack? Any ideas?
Well, any pharmacist who's ever handled Infesticide Ultra would know for a start. After all, it says it right there on the label. Do not mix with products containing ubiquium ever.
What happened to my voice just now? What about a layperson? It's unlikely they'd know, wouldn't you say?
I suppose so, yes. Well, not unless I'd have a nose through the ultimate cookbook anyway.
The price on a contest 18 years ago.
The recipe for making Infesticide Ultra along with that not mixing with ubiquium bit is in there, you know. You've got idle time.
So you're familiar with the contents of the book?
Oh yes, dear, I know it inside out. Because I work for the Tangaroa Group, you see. With the company behind Cold Killer Eggs, I'm sure you've heard of it.
Oh boy, have I. Cold Killer X fights back sniffles and sneezes with ease, apparently.
After Sammy Poople was found guilty, the company took custody of the book. But they only grant their most trusted people access to it, of course.
Which means Miss Scone is one of these elites, I suppose. You had a piece of fabric like this in your bag, did you not, Miss Scone? Albeit a somewhat grimier one.
Grimy? How rude. You won't get people to cooperate with you in a little investigation like that, young man.
Shall I call it a dish towel then? Perhaps you use it to wipe up some sort of spillage.
A spillage, she says. The cheek! That's a piece of highly specialized luminous cloth. Oh, I probably shouldn't have told you that.
I think I'd like to know a little more about this highly specialized luminous cloth, if you don't mind.
Ha ha ha!
Why didn't you want me to know you had a piece of luminous cloth in your bag?
Oh, well, I suppose there's no point hiding it now, is there? If you must know, I fished it out of the fountain. It was right before they called me into the autumn wing.
So Larry's sketch of Miss Scone is of when she was trying to retrieve the cloth.
At first I thought it was one of the ones I'd given Moody Judy.
One of the 4 you'd given to the gallery, correct?
Exactly, but all 4 were being used in the autumn wing, weren't they? So I realized it must be the one that went missing all those years ago. I'd already had my Infesticide Ultra pinched and used to make poison gas. If one of my cloths turned out to have been used in some sort of dastardly deed too, well, I was going to look guilty as sin, wasn't I? So I kept it hidden in my bag and hoped for the best. I see. Oh, this feels good to get it off my chest, though. Stress is not good for the complexion. Ma'am, you don't seem to age in the first place. Who cares about your complexion? It's the cloth that disappeared 18 years ago. The one that the victim was wrapped in. Just happens to reappear. Jawohl. Happens to reappear in the fountain at the same time as the body. The Ultimate Cookbook contained instructions on how to create the poison gas, and the current owner of that book is none other than Miss Judy Bound. No way, you mean? I'm afraid I do. Miss Bound would have been perfectly capable of setting up the gas trap. Finally, we can prove that she's been lying to us. Where is she? Hi! Where were you before you rejoined us here, Miss Bound? I had to go and tell our visitors we're closed. Oh, and hand out a little something in apology. Was there something you wanted to talk to me about? Yes, a few things actually. Not least of all, the fact that I think you might be the one who set the poison gas trap. Are there 2 serving cards here at the gallery, Miss Bound? Oh, yes, why do you ask? A certain so-called artist showed us a sketch. I couldn't help but notice the color of the tablecloth. It's light blue. Light blue? I'm afraid your friend must be mistaken. I only use white tablecloths, freshly laundered and starched. Like the perfect wrinkle-free one on the card here in the fountain room, right? Exactly. If I saw so much as a blemish, I would replace it right away. But the color of the tablecloth in the sketch simply be a mistake on Larry's part. Do you have any idea of what you might have been doing when the sketch was drawn? Let me see. I appear to be carrying out my usual duties. I'd like to ask you a little more about these duties, if I may. What exactly were you doing when the sketch was drawn? Because from what I can see, your card doesn't have a tea set on it. I was delivering some chocolates to the investigating officers. Aw, now I'm jealous. I love chocolate. Well, there were a few left over, so here, for you both. I made them myself. I hope you like them. Woo! Thanks, Miss Bound. Well, why not? They're a little melted, but I suppose it's because they've been sitting around in her pocket. Yay! They're super sweet. I love them. I'm very glad to hear it. They may not be the prettiest, but I'm grateful for the energy boost nonetheless. Or perhaps they could do with a little less sugar. What? I didn't talk to her about the poison gas. And that's that. All that's left now is to await the results of the tests on the teapot. What the hell? I didn't even get to ask about the last thing. Huh? Okay. Yeah, I love saving my progress. Thank you. Test results have just come in, sir. Praise off, your big were found in the teapot. They were? Just like Mr. Edgeworth said. Curse you, you better not think this means you beat me. You really need to drop this obsession with coming in first, Mr. Winner. We're all on the same side here, remember? We're all trying to get to the truth. But first is best. Everybody knows it's better to be a winner than a loser. That's really no way for a prosecutor to think. Not a successful one, anyway. But I... Enough. Mr. Edgeworth, please refrain from taunting the boy. Ignore him, Eustace. He isn't worthy of your attention. Hey, Val! Oh, alright. Why don't I take care of things here for now? In the meantime, you can perform the far more important task of going and checking on the victim. Oh, yeah, good idea. I'll be right back. Excellent. We shall see you shortly then. Mr. Wynn is annoying but totally harmless. Judge Gavel, on the other hand. Now. Miss Bound, perhaps you could explain why traces of Ubiquium were found in your teapot? I had no idea there was anything like that in there. Perhaps it's one of the ingredients in the dishwashing soap I use. So you're telling the court that you did not intentionally put Ubiquium in the teapot? Yes, exactly. Why would I? Until today I had no idea that it could even be used to make poison gas.
Objection!
Well, that's a lie. You're a trained actress, are you not, Miss Bounds? I'd have thought you would be a more convincing liar.
What do you mean?
You have access to the Ultimate Cookbook, correct? A book that just happens to contain instructions on how to create a poison gas used in the attack. Meaning it's perfectly possible for you to know exactly how to make it.
You're very well informed, Mr. Ashworth. Miss Bound, is what Mr. Ashworth said true? The book does contain information on how to make the poison gas, yes. But the fact that I've seen it doesn't make me guilty. It asks exactly how the gas was triggered. The victim used a blowtorch to heat the lid of one of the display cases, thereby melting the ubiquium. I see. But he locked himself in a room too, didn't he? Surely that, and the fact that he triggered it himself, wouldn't it point to it being a suicide attempt?
So she's not willing to admit to anything.
Furthermore, where would I have gotten hold of the Infesticide Ultra?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps you stole it.
You know, I did bump into Moody Judy a week or so ago. And that very evening I noticed my Infesticide Ultra had gone missing. Judy, surely you didn't... Delisha, you carry your bag of pharmaceuticals with you everywhere, don't you? There would have been any number of opportunities for someone other than myself to steal it from you.
That's true, and I don't have any hard evidence that it definitely was Miss Bound who stole it. Jude, there's clearly something you're not telling us. Why don't you just come clean, We all know you'd never hurt somebody for no reason, so...
Not you two. You think I'm guilty as well, Mr. Fender?
And you blame me? You've got one wing disguised as another, a gas trap in one of the display cases, and you're the proprietor of the establishment. It's looking a lot like you did it, kiddo.
You got this all wrong.
Kiddo? You're 2 years apart! Is she guilty? I don't know about that yet.
You have to remember, the gallery doesn't have any security cameras, nor any security personnel.
I don't think that's a good way of operating, by the way.
Some ill-intentioned person or other wanted to get in undetected. I don't think they'd have much of a problem. Wow, you're practically asking to be burglarized. You need to be more careful. A great thief could have a field day in here.
I don't think she's joking.
And actually, it seems that Mr. Gasto did in fact enter the gallery before it opened.
Sheesh. Judy's one tough cookie. She's not budging an inch. Maybe it's time to rock a little technique Gary taught me back in the day. And what technique might that be? So hear me out. Everything's connected to what happened 18 years back, yeah? And since we're not getting anywhere by focusing only on the here and now, maybe we ought to approach this from a different angle and look at the past clues instead. Turn about thinking. So my father used this method as well. Alright, let's run this through the old Thinkatron. How is Jude's involved in what happened back then? According to Miss Bound, it was because of her that Mr. Frost's flavored ice sculptures melted. And yet his sculptures are here on display at this very gallery today. Whereas Phoenix not in this game, because this game features Edgeworth as the protagonist. Is it possible that she... Thank you, Fender. I think I know what I need to ask Miss Bound now. Don't thank me, thank you, Pops. Take it away, Marsley. I'll grab the popcorn. Miss Bound, you say that you were the one who caused Mr. Frost's creations to melt 18 years ago, correct?
I'm afraid so. I was young and foolish and it was a terrible accident.
And yet, what you did allowed you to open this exhibit, no?
What do you mean?
Yes, what do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? If you're going to ask such questions, perhaps a formal testimony from Miss Bound might be best. Yes, perhaps it might. I'd like to know a little more about Zodiac Hall. And about why Miss Bound decided to dedicate this space to Mr. Frost's works.
Very well. If you believe it to be relevant to the case, I will allow it. Miss Bond, would you mind? Not at all. I'll do whatever it takes to prove that I'm innocent. Oh, please, if you could give us some background on Zodiac Hall and the pieces on display here. It took 18 years, but at long last, I was finally able to buy Samson's home back a little while ago. But a place like this is expensive to maintain, so I decided to turn it into an art gallery. To that end, I collected as many gold antique pieces as I could from around the world. Because, if I'm honest, it's always been something of a dream of mine to open a space dedicated to his work. Thank you for your testimony, Miss Bound. How wonderful it is that you were able to fulfill your dream. Well, Miss Edgeworth, everything seems entirely above board to me. Judge Gavelle, that was simply the witness's preliminary statement. As you surely know, the value of the testimony cannot be evaluated without due cross-examination. Spoken like a true attorney. Very well. You may do what you must.
Hold it!
Paula Leak. That was Mr. Frost's pseudonym, correct? Yes, he adopted it while he was working as a sculptor in France. I see. I'm curious about some of the pieces in your collection. More specifically, how you were able to acquire the Taurus and Gemini sculptures. It was my understanding that Mr. Frost died before he could complete them. Yes, I was able to create replicas for the Winter Wing based on photos of the sculptures he made. Really? Perhaps you could go into some more detail on that. Able to create replicas for the Winter Wing based on photos of
Objection!
I'm afraid you've run out of road, Miss Bound. You can lie all you like, but you can't deny the results of the tests conducted on the sculpture's remains. And those tests leave no room for ambiguity. What you had on display weren't replicas, they were the very statues Mr. Frost carved 18 years ago.
I can probably help explain how they worked it out if you like to. It's a sugar, you see. You might think sugar is sugar, but the composition is actually very unique. You could probably recreate the statues, but the sweet secret of the chemical makeup, no chance.
Thank you, Miss Scone. I don't recall asking for her help, but still. To put it simply, the statues didn't disappear back then because they'd melted. They disappeared because he spirited them away and kept them hidden for these 18 long years. That is a long time.
What? She kept a pair of flavored ice sculptures around somewhere for all that time?
It's not the most out there idea in the world, assuming you had a big enough icebox.
Overruled!
Quiet, all of you. Miss Bound, have you anything to say in your defense?
So you already learned that much?
Should I take that to mean you admit to having hidden the flavored ice sculptures in question?
No, I admit to no such thing. You haven't proven that I was the one who took those statues away. And you won't, because it would have been impossible for me to do so in the first place. The police were already here when they disappeared. How could I have done it without them noticing?
How indeed. I don't yet know exactly how you did it, but I'm far from ready to say that it was impossible for you to have stolen them away.
You're a very persistent man, aren't you, Mr. Ashworth?
I am indeed, and I won't stop until I get to the truth.
I see. Then I'd better tell you exactly what I did that day 18 years ago. The whole time before judging began, I was waiting upstairs in our living area on standby. During the judging, I had to go change the camera's film cartridge, Samson. But before I could take the camera back to Samson, I discovered Mr. Frost's body. Later around, when your father arrived, I began to make the rounds and serve tea to everybody present. That was when I saw Mr. Gusto entering Mr. Frost's room. And those were my movements on the day it all happened. I hardly see how you could take issue with any of that.
That's for us to decide, Miss Bound.
Are you saying there's a contradiction in her story, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm more focused on proving the fact that she did indeed steal those statues. The question is, when she would have had the opportunity to do so. If I can pinpoint that, I might be able to prove what exactly she got up to.
Hold it!
Just as you did today. Yes, I went around and offered everybody working on the investigation a cup of tea. Present company included, I remember it well. You were here, there, upstairs, downstairs, everywhere with that little cart of yours. Interesting. And did anything strike you strange around that time? Oh yeah, Gregory was singing the praise of Judy's tea. I think he mentioned the saucer was cold. The saucer was cold. Yeah. Was this the moment when Miss Bound stole the sculptures? Miss Bound, I believe this was when you stole the sculptures. I hate to contradict you, but the fun room was full of witnesses at that point, Mr. Fender included. Are you suggesting that I somehow got the sculptures out of Mr. Frost's room right under everyone's noses? That is precisely what I'm suggesting. Miss Bound stole those sculptures, and she did it by hiding them here. In the cart.
Take that!
My father and Fender had no idea that one of the sculptures was mere inches away from them. Because it wasn't just a tea set you were pushing around, Miss Bound, but a hidden ice sculpture in a glass case.
Overruled!
Surely such a thing would have been impossible. All a case of that size fit on the serving cart, it would have been spotted immediately.
Objection!
Who said anything about a serving cart? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Ashworth. What are you suggesting she used instead? I'm suggesting that Miss Bound used this to transport the sculptures.
Take that!
And this is the cart that Miss Bound used to move the flavored ice sculptures out of Mr. Frost's room 18 years ago. And it would appear that the very same cart is still here with us in this fountain room. We originally bought it for use in a contest. And you're saying that Miss Bound loaded Mr. Frost's sculptures onto this cart and carried them off. I am. As you can imagine, all one would need to do is lay a case on its side, add a tablecloth, and it would look exactly like a normal serving cart, thus allowing her to move the sculptures around freely. Can it be? Holy moly, of course! That's why those saucers were so chilly. They were sitting on top of a big block of ice. Jutes, how could you? Impressive. Then again, you are Mr. Gregory Ashworth's son. I should have expected no less. There isn't a scrap of evidence that I stole the sculptures all those years ago now. And yet, I knew that no matter what I said or did, I'd always be under a cloud of suspicion. So you admit it. You admit that you stole them from Mr. Frost's room? Yes, I do. I took the sculptures in the glass cases out of the room 18 years ago. As Mr. Edgeworth correctly deduced, I dressed up the lift cart as a serving cart to do it. And I slipped in and out of Mr. Frost's room while I was going around serving tea to everybody. In the end, I removed not only the sculptures, but the flavored ice zodiac blocks as well. Zodiac blocks? I feel like I've seen them for myself before. Huge block of ice on display here. It's incredibly heavy. Yay! The Winter Wing really is an exact replica of Mr. Frost's room from 18 years ago. And even though my father never saw them because it already melted, zodiac blocks must have been in the victim's room back then as well. When I had finished moving the 2 ice sculptures and the 2 zodiac blocks out, I took 2 fresh empty cases to Mr. Frost's room and put them where the original 2 had been. Only the sculptures had been kept in glass cases, you see, to prevent them from being damaged. The blocks were a little more robust, so they had been displayed as is. Stated in the contest rules, we were responsible for providing all display materials, including cases. Meaning it would have been easy for her to prepare those empty spares she swapped in. Mr. Frost's room contained quite a few other flavored iceworks in progress. I figured if I melted them down somehow, the resulting puddle would look like it came from the sculptures. And that is how the sculptures from 18 years ago came to be in the Winter Wing today. I have to say, Mr. Edgeworth, that's quite a confession.
Indeed, and I think she offered it so willingly because she knows there's nothing we can do with it.
That's all I have to tell you. However, despite everything I've shared, you can't charge me with anything now, can you? What? How'd you figure that? Oh my.
Oh, well, I thought you might know at least this much given we're at a crime scene.
I suggest you memorize the various statutes of limitations outlined in this book. Statutes of what?
I love that it's always a book for dummies. Can I look at it? Theft, 7 years from the date of the crime. Separate time from the crime with that's murder, 15 years from the date of the crime.
Statutes of Spanish to suspect flee to foreign countries, such as
Aha! Simply put, Kay, prosecutors only have a certain amount of time within which they can put a suspect on trial for a given crime. Let's take a closer look, shall we? Oh, okay.
So it's different for every crime. Murder, 15 years. Theft, 7 years. Ah!
Yes, Miss Bound stole the ice sculptures 18 years ago, so it's too late to have her arrested for that crime.
I don't believe it.
Theft is a serious matter, especially when it involves the removal of evidence from a crime scene. However, as you yourself just pointed out, Miss Bound can no longer be prosecuted for her crime. Rendering your revelation rather pointless, wouldn't you say, Mr. Edgeworth?
Objection!
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Well, you see, the theft of the ice sculptures isn't my principal interest here. I find that the body that reappeared 18 years after the theft to be of considerably more interest.
Are you suggesting that I also hid Mr. Frost's body?
I am, indeed.
How do you keep a body hidden for 18 years without anybody finding it?
Hi, Zen! Good evening! Yeah, you know, because I'm missing a stream. Because I didn't play on Wednesday, so you're still ahead. I'm gonna getcha.
Good afternoon, how are you?
By hiding it in a very unusual way.
Ooh, now this is interesting.
Are you telling me that you know where the body has been for all this time, Mr. Edgeworth? It's not such a big leap if you think about what Miss Bound has told us already. Let's just say it wasn't just flavored ice that she removed from Mr. Frost's room back then. Very well. If you're confident in this claim, let us put it to the test. Tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, where exactly was Mr. Frost's body hidden?
Take that!
A photograph of Mr. Frost's works. And of the victim's body, Your Honor. You will have to forgive me, but I don't see what you mean. Where exactly in this photograph is Mr. Frost's body? The victim's body is hiding right here. In the Gemini statue.
Take that!
The Gemini sculpture. Yes, it may look like a sculpture at first glance, but it is in fact Mr. Frost's corpse. Surely you can't be serious. I don't see anything in the photograph to support such a wild claim.
Objection!
That's because a certain piece of evidence was used to hide the body in plain sight. And what piece of evidence might that be? The court demands that you present what was used to conceal the body.
Take that!
One of the cloths from in the Autumn Wing. Yes, when it's made to glow in just the right way, it's so visually convincing you might mistake it for ice. Isn't that right, Miss Scone?
Well, yes, dear, but you can make it look like just about anything really, even blazing fire. And the right shade of blue would make it look like ice, yes, exactly like it, in fact.
Overruled!
Is it not the case that a certain special device is needed to generate these colors, though?
Objection!
If you would care to take another look at the photograph of the winter wing, Your Honor. You notice there's a small box connected to the bottom of the Gemini display case.
That's...
one of the very light-emitting devices in question. Detective Gumshoe even confirmed its presence. In fact, this particular device went missing 18 years ago. Back then, it was no doubt firmly connected to the cloth inside the display case, which means Miss Bound had no choice but to take it with her when she removed the sculpture. So you see, this cloth and the light-emitting device were being used to create the illusion that Mr. Frost's body was, in fact, a statue carved from ice. This can't be. Wait, so you're telling me that when we took a photo of us in the winter wing? Yes, we were standing right in front of the body. Oh, that's a little creepy. But the body and the cloth were both recovered from the fountain. Why were they found there if the body was supposed to be in the winter wing disguised as a sculpture?
Objection!
Because there would have been no mystery as to how the body had been hidden if you had found it as is. Miss Bound needed to remove Mr. Frost from the winter wing in order to throw us up the scent.
Overruled!
Ridiculous. I don't recall her sneaking around behind our backs to throw a body in the fountain. No, and she didn't need to, because she had another method at her disposal. A trusty lift cart, the same cart that had proved so useful in executing her original theft. I believe she wheeled the body into one of the other wings and floated it down the stream to the fountain. The frozen body, being quite solid, probably got stuck somewhere along the way. Which is why only the cloth appeared at first. The cloth Miss Scone discovered. And then the body followed afterwards once it had thawed enough.
It's an ingenious theory, Mr. Atchworth. But can you prove that it was me? It seems a little unfair to expect me to accept your accusations without proof, don't you think? What about an eyewitness? Do you think someone might have spotted her when she was moving the body?
As a matter of fact, I do. And the contradiction in the piece of evidence that was provided will shed light on exactly how Miss Bound moved the body as well.
Well, Mr. Atchworth, do you have any evidence to support your allegation?
Of course. I have a piece of very compelling proof right there. Here. There. Everywhere. Then please present it to the court. What evidence do you have that proves Miss Bound acted as you claim?
Take that!
More drawings.
And is that me?
Yes, Mr. Butts drew sketches of people as they passed through the fountain room. But what I'm interested in is the card we could see here. A Bound serving card. What about it? You don't see it. She's using the same trick she used 18 years ago. Ergo, we know that Miss Bound was busy moving Mr. Frost's body when this picture was being drawn.
If I may, I don't see Mr. Frost's body anywhere in that sketch. All I see is a picture of me delivering chocolates to everyone.
Really? Then allow me to direct your attention to the color of the tablecloth, Miss Bound. I originally thought that Mr. Butts had made an error, but he's assured me that couldn't possibly be the case. This tablecloth appears to be light blue. Yes, a shade of tablecloth that Miss Bound doesn't seem to own. The cloth only appears to be light blue due to the body hiding just underneath. What? The shape of the card is perfectly rectangular, just as one would expect. Surely it would be immediately obvious if the tablecloth is being draped directly over the body.
Objection!
The frozen solid body? Girl, are you listening? Not if the body had been placed inside one of the hollow zodiac blocks in the winter wing. Place one of those in a lift card and it easily passed muster as a regular serving card, wouldn't you agree? Miss Bound, surely now you must admit that it was you who moved the body just as you did 18 years ago.
I didn't expect you to deduce all that from a single simple sketch. But a sketch alone isn't really enough to prove your theory, is it?
You needn't worry on that front. My case doesn't rest solely on Mr. Butts' artwork. Once you had disposed of the body, your serving card became a simple lift card once more. Which is exactly what we discovered here in the fountain room. And without a serving card, you had to find some place to put your chocolates.
My chocolates? The ones I was handing out?
As we saw in the sketch, you had originally placed them on top of the card. But the chocolates you gave us came from your pocket.
Oh yeah, mine was half melted. It was still super sweet and tasty though.
Why did you suddenly feel the need to put the chocolates in your pocket, Miss Bell? Hey, hey. It was because you no longer had a serving card to put them on, that's why. One moment, please. You have explained what Miss Bound did with the chocolates and the lift card. But what about the tablecloth? Where did it go? Indeed, if stashing the chocolates in her pocket was the only solution she could think of, I doubt Miss Bound had the time to dispose of an entire tablecloth. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, do you have an answer for me? Miss Bound didn't hide or dispose of the tablecloth, Your Honor. In fact, it's right here in front of us. Perhaps you would care to enlighten us? Where exactly is the tablecloth Miss Bound used to hide the body? Miss Bound has a tablecloth on her person, and in plain view, in fact. In plain view? No, surely you don't mean... Miss Bound. It's a cloth around your waist, isn't it? And given that the sodium blocks weren't kept in glass cases, the cloth would have been in direct contact with the ice. All we would need to do to confirm my theory is to test the cloth for the traces of sugar used in Mr. Frost's work. The game is up, Miss Bound. It's time to come clean. You won't need to test the tablecloth. Everything you said is true. I stole Delicious Infesticide Ultra, and I moved Mr. Frost's body. It was me. It was all me. Delicia, I'm so sorry. Last week I went into your bag and I took it. And then I put it in his pocket, hoping to make it look like he tried to do himself in. Also made sure to leave no fingerprints but yours, just in case the police suspected foul play. Judy, you... Gosh. Judes, why? Weren't we supposed to be on the same side? All fighting together to free Samson? You were, but I couldn't afford to get arrested. Not yet. Not until I'd finally proven that Samson is innocent. I always planned to give myself up in the end, I swear. I know it's easy to say that now, but... Why do it this way, though? It's not like you. I'm sorry, Mr. Fender. I've caused you so much trouble. I've been the guilty party all along, ever since that day 18 years ago. Are you trying to tell us that the true culprit in the IS-7 incident was you? I committed a terrible crime. I took those sculptures, and I stole them for purely selfish reasons. The moment Mr. Frost died, they became more than mere entries in a confectionery contest. They became the final works of Samson's favorite artist. I couldn't allow them to just melt away, not before he came home. And that meant I couldn't let anybody near them, not even the police. So I hid them. I knew it was wrong, but I just had to. I put them in a cold storage room for safekeeping. But what I had actually done was far worse than anything I could have possibly imagined. Because I would have thought that Mr. Frost's body itself was posing as one of the sculptures. She didn't know about the body when she stole the sculptures. Samson's a kind man, a saint. He would never kill anybody, never. And yet, because of what I did, the police never found Mr. Frost's body, and Samson was found guilty. After all he'd done for me, he was my family, the only family I've ever had. He was the most important person in the entire world to me. And I... Jules. After his conviction, I was forced out of our home. I was finally able to return only a few days ago, and when I did, I went to the cold storage room to check up on the sculptures, and that's when I saw it. Mr. Frost's body. It had been there the whole time. Of course, by that point, the statute of limitations had expired. So I did what I did today, because it was the only way I could think of to make things right. It seems I've misunderstood her intentions. Everything she's done really has all been for Mr. Tangaroa's sake. What are you thinking about, Mr. Edgeworth? Something that's been puzzling me. Why did Miss Bound use poison gas? Why not a more reliable method? And why disguise the autumn wing as the winter wing? The only reason I can think of is to confuse someone who was here 18 years ago.
Yeah, I wonder what she had in mind.
She was trying to prove that Mr. Tangaroa is innocent. Miss Bound's ultimate goal must be to find the true killer. She's been trying to discover the identity of the true culprit. Miss Bound, the ultimate aim was to see Mr. Tangaroa cleared of all charges, correct? And to that end, you had to expose the real killer and have the police find the body from 18 years ago. Is my understanding of your intentions correct? Exhibiting the sculptures was sure to force the killer to return to the crime scene. After all, they were the only person apart from you who knew that the body was hidden in the icewood. So they would have freaked out thinking the body was about to be discovered and come running, yeah? Exactly. But Miss Bound ran the risk that the killer might successfully cover the tracks this time. In the worst case scenario, they might have even been able to remove Mr. Frost's body from the scene. So how could you lure the true killer into revealing themselves without putting vital evidence at risk? I see what you're getting at. You're saying that's why the Autumn Wing was all Winter Wing. I am. You were betting on one thing, Miss Bound, weren't you? That whoever opened the Pisces case you had so carefully disguised as a Gemini case would be the real perpetrator of the I-7 incident.
Oh. But that would mean the real killer was...
Overruled.
Enough. Another word. Do you realize the implications of what you are saying, Mr. Edgeworth? Are you prepared to stand behind the accusation you're clearly about to make? Miss Bound set a trap for Mr. Frost's killer, meaning that whoever found themselves caught in that trap is highly likely to be the guilty party. But I lack the evidence to support such an assertion. To accuse someone without any evidence is not to be done lightly, so... should I really go ahead and make my accusation and name Mr. Frost's killer nonetheless? Yeah, duh. What else are you going to do at this point? My ultimate goal is to see the truth exposed. And to do that, I need to seize the moment. Yes, Judge Gavel, I'm prepared to stand behind my accusation. I know exactly who is to blame for the I-7 incident. Dun 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 dun.
Take that!
Dun 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 dun. Mr. Guster, the victim of the poison gas attack is the perpetrator behind the I-7 incident. Gusty? Mr. Guster. Miss Bound, as we have established, you knew that the opening of the gallery would lure in the real culprit. And you set up the poison gas trap in order to catch them. Do you dispute the facts thus far? You're a very impressive man, Mr. Edgeworth, just like your father. And of course, you're absolutely right. Then perhaps you could tell us exactly what happened in your own words. Of course, I have nothing to hide anymore. So I might as well tell you everything. As you said, I set a trap here in the gallery to try and catch Mr. Frost's killer. Before we opened, I made sure that the door to the Autumn Wing was the only one that was unlocked. When opening time came, I went around to unlock the doors of the various rooms. I found that the Autumn Wing had been locked from the inside. The killer's on the other side of the door. I thought, well, it frightened me. And then she simply walked away, leaving him to fall victim to a poison gas trap. When I heard that Mr. Guster was being treated for gas inhalation, that's when I knew he was the murderer. All that was left for was for the police to find Mr. Frost's body, and then Samson would finally be proven innocent. At least, that was my plan. Judes, why didn't you tell me? You know I'm always here for you, right? We could have found it another way. I didn't have to be like this. Thank you, Mr. Fender. You've been so very kind to me all these years. But I'm the one who created this mess, so it was up to me to try and clean it up. I didn't care what it took, as long as I could get Samson out of that awful place. Judy. 18 years ago, the police managed to cover up the fact that Mr. Frost's body had gone missing. If I went to them now and said it had reappeared, I was afraid they might have tried to cover things up again. So I worked to set up a very public incident here in the gallery in front of as many witnesses as possible. I'm so sorry, Judy. You, Samson, Gregory, I let you all down. This can't be easy for him. No, I'm the one who should be apologizing. Mr. Edgeworth, Mr. Fender, I hope one day you can forgive me. Whatever punishment I have to face, I'm ready to accept it.
Please, if I may ask one thing of you, it's that you simply must clear Samson's name. The way the truth of these past 18 years had come to light was unexpected, to say the least. And yet, it had only set us down a path towards an even more shocking end. Oh boy. What do you mean? Uh-oh. I mean, where else can this go? Miss Bounds, are you feeling a little calmer now? Yes. Good. Then allow me to get to the point. Regardless of your intentions, you broke the law. Yes, I understand. Nevertheless, I understand that you did what you did in order to prove Mr. Tangaroa's innocence. Therefore, if the real culprit really is someone else, then we have a duty to reinvestigate the case.
Overruled.
What's your fucking problem? There is nothing to suggest that anything nefarious took place in the official I-7 incident records. And right now, there's nothing to suggest that we should take Miss Bound at her word either. So our first order of business should be to arrest the culprit of the case before us, Miss Bound herself.
Objection!
Official records cannot always be trusted, Judge Gavel. Especially since there are those prosecutors who would think nothing of twisting the facts.
Overruled.
Are you suggesting that the committee at the time overlooked just such a prosecutor? You've overlooked him for 40 years. Until literally just like basically last year, so yeah, I am. That's for you and your people to figure out. However, it is a fact that the autopsy report was faked. Seeing as Mr. Frost's body was only found just now. There really is something of Mr. Funkama in you, Mr. Atwood. How so, exactly? You're continually defying the will of the committee and bending the truth to fit your needs, that's how. Perhaps at this time you understand how the committee sees this case. Oh! Yeah, okay. Try me. The committee is willing to accept that Mr. Funkama falsified Mr. Frost's autopsy report. Even still, Mr. Funkama only managed to have Mr. Tangaroa convicted as an accomplice. I personally have come to believe that the real culprit behind the I-7 incident is Miss Bound. Planned to poison and kill Mr. Gusto today was her attempt to frame him for Mr. Frost's murder. And this is how the committee sees things, is it? Yes, as always, I act solely in service of law and order. Sounds to me like all she's doing is acting in service of the committee and covering up the truth. And if I can't change her mind, there will be no saving Mr. Tangaroa or Miss Bound. I don't like her. Ah!
Hold it!
Why would Miss Bound have chosen to frame Mr. Gusto for the murder? No doubt because he suspected her of being the real culprit. He may have entered what he thought was the Winter Wing simply to see if the Gemini statue was genuine. Little did he know that he would be greeted by a trap designed to silence him. A trap that nearly worked.
Objection!
Why would he have tried to break into the whole case? Do you have any evidence to support that line of reasoning? Unfortunately, Mr. Gusto remains in critical condition. It will be difficult to prove anything until he regains consciousness. In other words, there's little we can do for now. On the contrary, there's plenty we can do. You still have not grasped the situation, have you? Then allow me to spell it out for you. We have all the evidence we need to explain both the I-7 incident and the poison gas attack. Or do we? We have therefore determined that there's no need to investigate either case any further. Aha! Aha! What? That's a fucking joke.
Objection!
I'm afraid there's still one question concerning the I-7 incident that remains unanswered, Your Honor. Would you mind taking a look at this? What is it? The test results carried out on the liquid at the bottom of the Gemini case in the Winter Wing. As you can see, traces of blood were detected. The question is, Whose? Until that question is answered, I hardly think you can claim to have all the evidence. There was blood in a Gemini case. Why did I not hear about this from Eustace? Because Detective Gumshoe informed me of the results directly. I was planning to tell Mr. Wynne about it myself, of course.
Overruled.
You kept this to yourself until now, despite having no jurisdiction here whatsoever. Mark my words, the committee will hear all about what you've done here today. As ever, my interest is in the truth, and if mistakes were made in the past, they must be rectified. If you must report me to the committee, then so be it. But in return, we must be allowed to investigate this case to the very end. That is not my decision to make. You will need to discuss it with Eustace. Where's that guy anyway? Guess who's back, losers, and with good news too. Hey! Was a close call for a minute there, but Camille Gasto is alive. Gasto? He made it. You're the ones who found me. Yeah. Long time no see, Gasto. Yeah. Attorney's assistant. You've grown. You have an assistant of your own now. Assistant? No. He hasn't got the gig just yet. This is Gregory Edgeworth's son. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, at your service. Fate moves in mysterious ways. I mean, you're dead. If you hadn't found me in time, I wouldn't be here to thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. After all, if you hadn't lived, we wouldn't be able to ask you what really happened 18 years ago. What are you talking about? I figured out quite a bit while you were out cold. Including the fact that you're probably the guy who offed poor Artie Frost. What? Is that true? Miss Brown set up a very elaborate trap to catch Mr. Frost's murderer. A trap that involved rigging a Pisces case with poison gas. Perhaps in light of that fact, you could tell us in your own words what happened back then. Or perhaps you'd rather exercise your right to remain silent. Ah, it's not bad. Gasto is a fan of the old meditation. You know, and all that jazz. Wow, sleeping while standing seems pretty cool. That's one heck of a talent. Except there's no sleeping involved in meditation, okay? Hey, Gasto, old pal, how about you snap out of it and tell us what went down way back when? I was caught in the gold trap, so I must be the killer. Is this your idea of a joke? I'm the victim here. Indeed you are, Mr. Gasto, and there's no evidence that you have done anything wrong yet. It's Edgeworth and Mr. Fender merely speculating. Rest assured that I have no authority here, and that you may pay them no heed. At least somebody here seems to be on my side. Judge Verity Gavel, it's a pleasure, Mr. Gasto. I will assist you in any way you may require. Perhaps you could begin by explaining what actually happened 18 years ago to Mr. Edgeworth. Fine. You want me to prove I'm innocent, Mr. Prosecutor? I'd be happy to.
Objection!
So this is how you mean to play, Judge Gavel? You're hoping Mr. Gasto will help you to hide what happened instead of trying to correct the record? I believe only in the infallible judgment of the Goddess of Justice. Except that it is us humans who make the actual judgment calls in a court of law. And so long as there are those who would use the law to their advantage, our rulings are fallible indeed. If you would use your position to further obscure the truth, then neither she nor I will forgive you. We shall see about that. What do you advise, Judge Gavel? It would seem that you are under suspicion because it was you who triggered the poison gas. Specifically by opening the Pisces case's lid. Would you be so kind as to share why with us? Understood. I came to see Frost sculptures, simple as that. I made a mistake with the opening times and arrived a half hour early. Miss Pound, was there no one at the reception desk at around that time? I had left the main entrance unguarded and unlocked just in case the killer made an appearance. I was also busy making preparations elsewhere all the way up until the gallery's opening. So no, there was no one here on the first floor then. But I did make sure that all the wings were locked up tight, all except for the autumn wing, that is. I see.
She did all that just to steer the culprit into the water lane, which is precisely where Mr. Gusto went.
Sneaking into a building's pretty suspicious, however you slice it.
Silence in the courtroom. I will permit no objections or interventions unless there's some evidence that the witness is lying.
The courtroom? You know this is an art gallery, right?
Mr. Gusto, if you could please continue by explaining why you opened the Pisces case. I wanted to see Frost's work up close, so I went up to the Gemini. Sorry, I guess I was supposed to read a Pisces statue. And I saw that the lid was frozen on tight. Grabbed the blowtorch. So I grabbed the blowtorch from nearby and tried to open it. Yeah, that's definitely what you do. It's very normal behavior. When I finally got it open, gas came pouring out. Fascinating. His is the sort of flawless testimony attorneys can only dream of.
Yeah, the everything sounds like a lie kind.
I'm not dissatisfied with Mr. Gusto's explanation myself. Alas, there's no evidence to refute it.
Come on, there must be something.
It's Pound's story you should be questioning, not mine. I'm not the one who set up the gas trap. She could have killed anybody with that thing.
Objection!
She turned on the sprinklers as soon as the gas was released. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was gunning for the killer and nobody else. That killer being you, old pal. So you believe that self-confessed criminal? Miss Pound is far from blameless in this affair, and she will have to pay for her crimes. And so will Mr. Frost's killer. Seemed determined to pin Frost's murder on me. I had no reason to kill him. And you have no evidence to prove otherwise.
Can we really not prove that he's the killer, Mr. Edgeworth?
Mr. Gusto fell victim to the poison gas, that much is indisputable. Yet no matter how suspicious his actions in the present may seem, they prove nothing about the past.
Yeah, but what about Mr. Fender? What about you, Mr. Fender? There must be something we can do.
You're right. We may not have evidence, but we have plenty of intel. Let's see now. If Gusto killed Frost, he must have had a reason. He claims not to have a motive, but that can't really be true, can it? If he did it, he has one. Not many people commit murder just for fun. In fact, your old man had a little back and forth with from Karma about a probable motive too, remember? It wasn't returned. Well, Karma wouldn't let us talk to Gusto back then, but we can now. If you can put the pieces together, I think the picture we've been looking for might just emerge. Yeah, I think you might be right. I need to think back over everything we know about the I-7 incident. Especially the questions that never got answered. Finger marks. Scar denied that the finger marks on the frame were hers. But what if they were Mr. Gusto's? Perhaps he had wanted to take a look through the ultimate cookbook for himself. Remaining. I thought maybe just lost track somewhere along the way. I thought I noticed these things for a reason. I just need to piece them together correctly. In the absence of evidence, it's the only way to the truth. Okay, let's go. Photographing the cookbook's contents would be the perfect way to steal its secrets undetected. And what if Mr. Gusto did just that? What if he used Mr. Tangaroa's camera to photograph the book?
It'd be the perfect crime. So much better than stealing it and getting chased by the cops.
Sneaky snapshot of 20, huh? That could work. The only question is, when would he have done it? Good question. What about during afternoon tea? Didn't Alicia say that Gusto and Frost had missed out on a little tea party they had? Ah. Which brings me to the next question. When do we know for certain that Mr. Frost was still alive? Mr. Foster kept to himself inside his room after the contest had started, but he was gone by the time Miss Cohen snuck into it to sample his work, meaning there's a good chance he was murdered before the end of afternoon tea. Haha! Mr. Gusto, you and Mr. Frost conspired to create works for the contest together, did you not? Ah, so you know my little secret. Mr. Fender was kind enough to inform me. Mr. Frost was in charge of the designs while you were in charge of the flavor. Is that correct? And I say, I still had a long way to travel on the road to becoming a master confectioner. But you only collaborated up through the semi-final. Something changed after that. We both wanted to show what we could do, show that we were better than Tangaroa.
Objection!
Then why did you help Mr. Frost with his entry for the final? Grounds do you have to say that? Your own statement, made to Mr. Funkama 18 years ago. You told him that you had been working together right up until the day before the final. Mr. Frost's entry was carved entirely from blocks of flavored ice. Ice which would have needed at least a day to freeze. So I guess would therefore have already been prepared by Mr. Gusto. Exactly.
Objection!
So why did Mr. Frost help you in return? I submit that your relationship broke down for some reason, and that became the basis of your motive for murder. That's not how it was. Sure, we stopped working together, but it was all perfectly friendly. Are you quite sure?
You stopped working together in a friendly way? Kinda hard to imagine, but okay.
Besides, how do you think I did it exactly? You think I just strolled into Tangaroa's room and killed Frost? I couldn't have killed the man while Tangaroa was in there working on his chocolate pieces, could I? Ah. So you see, it can't have been me. I wouldn't be so sure. There must be a window of time when Mr. Tangaroa wasn't in his room. And if I can prove that, I can prove that Mr. Gusto had the opportunity to kill Mr. Frost. We can be sure that Mr. Frost was alive until the beginning of afternoon tea, making tea time the only window during which Mr. Gusto could have killed him. Are you satisfied with Mr. Gusto's story now, Mr. Edgeworth? No, never. I will never be satisfied. Sadly, I'm afraid I'm still rather unsatisfied. But things are finally starting to become clear, and the truth will soon come to light at least. At last. And I'm so sorry to be doing this. But I'm gonna have to end here because my body is absolutely fucking killing me. I just saved. Sure, I'll save again. That's fine. We're gonna have to clear this up next time. Because for some reason, it's always during Ace Attorney, or during like the end of an Ace Attorney case where my body's like, no, actually, fuck you. This was a fun stream. I'm sorry I didn't stream the entire week. I'm also sorry for how fast I have to end this right now. But I hope you all have a very, very nice evening. I'm gonna be back next week for sure, for real again. We're gonna finish this case finally. Here's a raid. Have a good night, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'll see you all soon. Good night.
Bye bye. Bye bye bye.